Hello, and welcome to my Dream Journal reading segment. Here... I will be reading my bizarro dream journals I have kept over the years, starting, around, let's see, early 2017, apparently. If only I've been doing this longer, then I'd have even more weird dreams to share with you all. Oh yeah, we're at 10 FPS for a reason. You don't need too much frame rate for, what I'm doing. Not really. 10 fupas is good enough. Anyway, I don't really have a background to give you guys, so here have, you know, Alan Wake and Max Payne enjoying a brewski in an Eldritch Bookworld.jpg. Neat. Alright, I'm gonna start with the vintage dreams, which I, you know, just randomly remembered, and I'm like, oh, I remember these dreams for some reason. I wonder how much of these I'll be able to read within a 2 or 3 hour time frame. Anyway. I'm gonna call these dreams vintage dreams. One I had long ago. Fucked if I remember exactly when, but they were memorable enough to write them down in vaguely decent detail. Okay. I was in this really nice, ritzy area, and there were UFOs invading Earth. I then proceeded to shoot at said UFOs with a Beretta handgun, sprinting around in a panic, shooting at UFOs even more, knowing full well, even if it does hit them, it most likely won't dent their highly advanced metal bullshit. Well, that's about it, I guess. Don't really remember much else besides being in a ritzy area. UFOs and shooting UFOs with Max Payne's preferred handgun. Also, fuck rich people. Or most of them, anyway. Okay, past me. It's step off the cocaine! Or moon sugar, or whatever I was on before I went to bed. Probably, tea and honey. Uno momento. Yes, duh. This isn't awkward or anything. Vintage Dream 2. It was the pitch black, ungodly dead of night. I was in some old person's home. Or maybe some weird antique shop or something. Really dusty. Bunch of old crap around, I guess. There was no lights on in the building. But I could barely see my surroundings with my mediocre human night vision. Behind this old chair, I found a bunch of disembodied green heads. I then get something I wouldn't even wish on my worst enemies. Some exploding mind syndrome caliber ear rape! That is to say, a really loud sound / shriek went off and it left me paralyzed in fear! Snake! Fear! This is also a fever dream, more of a son your brain is chemically imbalanced as all hell type of dream. And I don't mean drugs, I just mean a terrible diet and whatnot. Probably worse than most drugs. Too many, microwave orange chicken or something, you know. Blech! Question mark times 4. I was in this eerie... Vintage Dream 3. I was in this eerie, dark, rusty, blood-looking hallway. From something that was out of Silent Hero. Except the walls were made out of vaguely blood-looking stone rather than rusty, bloody metal. It was a rather cramped hallway. And in the hallway was a small pool of water in a little brick well thing, which contained some sort of naga whatever demon lady that popped out. Then a text prompt came up, something like from an RPG, think Final Fantasy VII, because I think that the text prompt was FF7 Blue. And the text prompt said something about 50 gil or 50 G, and maybe it was 100, I don't know. I forgot if there was any other text, or the rest was just mostly blank, but I'm pretty sure she was offering me a good fucking for some JRPG dosh. Won the Naga 6 for 100 gil. Good deal. Guess the dream ended before the kinky shit could begin. Totally not an awkward segment, .mp4. Damn. Oh well, regardless. The kinkiest nightmare ever. Someone draws, okay, no. Wait a minute. Pre-2005, I'd say. Really no. Vintage Dream 4. Oh, this one's ancient. Water dream or nightmare? Well, more of a dream. Because I don't think I was drowning, but also somewhat of a nightmare because it was kind of dark and it was a fucking maze. Not too much to say about this one, just me jumping into a water pipe labyrinth with branching paths. It wasn't sewer pipes or anything terrible like that. It was like an attraction. An obstacle course. Water was definitely clean. Pretty sure there were breaks for air in some of the rooms, slash branching paths, slash whatever. Is this that one dream, or is this a similar... Or... That one. Maybe I had 2 dreams like this. Water, pool, labyrinth, nightmare! That'll be the next liminal game concept. It'll be mostly underwater. And it'll be, you know, try not to drown the game. There was even some theme going on, because there's like some starfish ornaments and shit in at least one of the rooms. Neat. Vintage Dream 5. A non-existent first-person shooter. Horror-themed. Had a bit of a Red Steel vibe in some areas, I suppose. With the surrounding area being a city. The player went into a ship or something like that. There was a corridor with a bunch of mist waving about. I guess it was a freezer room or something like that. Oh, this was a pretty rad dream. Nearing the end of the hallway, well, I can't remember Jack shit past that for the most part, but I'm pretty sure a dark black enemy, kind of like the mimics from Prey, attacks the player near the end of the dream. I don't know what the entire game would be like, but one thing's for sure, I wouldn't mind the game actually existing, is it seems pretty rad. Yeah. Vintage Dream 6. I had a dream about Half-Life 2 Episode 3, or Half-Life 3 rather. Because Valve are like, fuck episodes these days, also the number 3. I beheld this awesome sight on some Arctic setting, and a ton of ships being dragged out to sea, or something like that. With the Arctic lights up above. You know, the Aurora Borealis and whatnot. Later in the dream, I was on top of what I assumed to be the Borealis itself, or mini version of it, or something. I think I was fighting GLaDOS on top of it. Or at least being taunted by her while dramatic shit was going on. And that was pretty much it. That'd be pretty cool if you actually fought GLaDOS in Half-Life 3. Although it's really unlikely. Sorry I couldn't put this in more detail since I had the stream so long ago. That was one of those legendary dreams you don't forget so easily entirely. Vintage Dream 7. I was in an operating room in a hospital. There was this magical... Oh god, not this one. Okay, here's a bizarro nightmare kinky shit text. There was this magical stretching device that could somehow stretch the person's whatever, and essentially you shrink down inside them. So I did. To some lady, it explored inside her. As a tenth of the size of an ant. Very good English wording grammar here. Or not. This dream is some weird non-Euclidean bullshit. Later, I see a bunch of varied sperms. There's so many different types of wack, but one of them was a robo-sperm. It kind of looked like that one enemy from Zelda Minish Cap, where you go inside the body, you have to kill them with the glowing red eye, you know, that boss. With the big googly-eyed head, the Wind Waker one, but different. Third boss, Wind Waker. It is apparent that this lady has been fucking many different things, including a robot. Whoa. Synthetic robot. Jism. Now I'm going to make up the rest of the streams. Diagnosis, eat a salad. I told you this was going to get weird. It's like the dreams or something. Persona. Diagnosis. Bonk. That's stream 8. Probably somewhere between 2018 and the year we do not speak of. Persona 5 High School Dungeon. This is a really good... Any Persona dream I have is a good time. I just feel tingly and good. Persona 5 High School Dungeon. I was in this really bizarre and elongated and slightly crooked basketball court in a high school. It was this non-existent Persona 5 dungeon. My party ended up fighting a battle or two in the basketball court. I think Ren, Ann, and Morgana were in my party. Can't remember much else, sadly. I think at one point I was in another dungeon where everything was dark and purple. Or was that from another dream? Something about this dream made me really happy, and other Persona-related dreams for that matter. Guess I love the series more than I thought. You know, just fighting with my anime bros in you know, human consciousness hell, or whatever. Dungeons. Foggy Vintage Dream Night. Late 90s or early 2000s, question mark? Ooh, this is super ancient. This is one of those weird, foggy dreams you don't forget so easily. Foggy Barn and Stretch Armstrong filled with honey. Yo, is that the Mandela effect? Yo, go stab your Stretch Armstrong doll and see if it's filled with honey. No, don't actually do that. It's not honey. Spoiler, it's not honey. It's not honey! I should probably, I think it's time for new music. What do you think? And, you know, YouTube will randomly commit seppuku because the router hates YouTube. Kind of quiet. Stunned. Where was I? Max Peen. Foggy Barn and Stretch Armstrong filled with honey. It was dark and foggy out, uncannily so. Like it was a movie set... Like it was in a movie set void. That's nice wording there, buddy. Past me. I was on the upper floor of a barn. Hay scattered across the floor and such. I was playing with a Stretch Armstrong doll, or something similar. I stretched it so hard that it ripped in half down the doll's torso. The gooey filling was apparently honey. Not a substance that looked like honey, but actual honey. Wonderful. Very wonderful. Honey. Honey. Vintage Dream 10. Probably late 90s. It was somebody's birthday. I was at some sort of hall where events were held. It was just this kind of like big carpeted room with dining tables and folding metal chairs set up and so on. It was dark. Everybody was gone. I was alone. There was balloons tied to tables and chairs. Plates and hats on the table, etc. There was this unopened push fob sitting on the table, taunting me. You know, that lipstick-shaped lollipop. There's a slight chance this could have been real life, but it's just too uncanny to not be a dream. Really? Game idea. Underground spiral, underground boss room. I was deep underground in this kind of big antechamber with a long spiral circular ramp leading all the way to the bottom. The lighting, quote-unquote, was of course dim, light blue, and maybe a bit purple. It's probably a bit more purple than light blue, actually. How are underground areas lit naturally lit? Anyway, bioluminescent mold/moss. Anyway, this place has some vague Ocarina of Time Shadow Temple vibes to it. Like Bongo Bongo would bust out any minute. You know, oh yeah! Alright, now we go to the proper numbered ones. Dream 1. Precursor, let me start this series, quote-unquote, off by saying this. If anyone were to ever invent a device to even remotely accurately record people's dreams, they would be septrillionaires. A septrillionaire. Gigamillionaire. Of course, that would be some god-tier level of neurotechnology. There have to be so much shit connected to you for it to work. I mean, how does a machine intercept finer neuron activity and translate them accurately? Let alone translate them into video form. One can only hope that someday, most likely several hundred years after I die, that such a device might be invented. A two-part dream. You all love the dreams where they're just like 5-part dreams and, you know, you sleep until like 5 PM and it's like, oh, life well spent. I feel like shit now. Sometime in mid-February 2017. Part 1. I dreamt about a most likely non-existent old movie/TV series that felt like it was released somewhere between the 60s and mid to late 80s. Or the Twilight Zone. It was something about micro-stories or something like that. Stories within stories. It was like mini episodes of weird events. I remember it being vaguely horror-related, but it was more so just interesting in general. Less emphasis on horror, more on just plain weird endeavors and events. The only 2 parts of this dream I can remember semi-clearly was an old lady with somewhat long frizzy hair. Excuse me. Started to read a story to some young boy while sitting at the table. Probably located in a dining room, late at night. The second part would be, at the end of this part of the dream, it had something to do with an immortal zombie, or something along the lines of that. Raising from his grave, probably each night, maybe only during full moons, Or maybe it was Halloween. Yeah, they did. Or some shit though, I don't know, lol. Dreams aren't exactly super linear, or super clear all the time. I like jumping around like a mad randomly. If someone could make a brainwave intercepting device, I already said this. Up there. No good luck sounds bullshittingly impossible. I remember the show slash movie having a good ending for some reason, although I don't see what could possibly be a good amount. More zombie because maybe you enjoyed Moonlight Strolls. It's Stubbs' cousin. Flubs. Part 2. Someone's in a launch pod ready to go to space for some unknown reason. And then after a brief countdown, the pod sent me to space. I then landed at what seemed like the moon, although with shit tons of very large dinosaur bones slash fossils everywhere in the surface. Oh my god, Jurassic Park 500. In space, I then said to myself, I'm home. And then the Skull Flight theme started playing. I then started hovering around with a jetpack surveying the land. First of all, why did I say, I'm home? Who am I? Cecil from Final Fantasy IV? Or is that just a metaphor in, I love doing my non-existent moon fossil surveying job that doesn't exist job? And second, I guess it was pretty obvious why the Skull Flight stream started playing. One, too much Xenoblade X. You know, like 2 years ago from this stream. Even though I haven't played that in well over a year, yes. 2, I'm in space hovering around with the jetpack. 3, that music is awesome. Minus the lyrics that sound like they're being sung by somebody's mum. MILF. Remove MILF from Muzak. Dream 2. Mid-February 2017. I think this was a 2-part dream, but I only remember one part. Oh, whale. Me and my mother were in a movie theater. We were strolling down this hallway, a red-orange vending machine being at the end of it. So naturally, we approached it. And I peered inside looking at the contents. Not remembering... Okay, shut up. What the hell was inside, besides this box pack of super condensed marshmallow peep-like bear candy. Mmm. Delicious dream candy. So I then purchased said probably non-existent candy and probably started tearing the marshmallow bear apart to see its consistency. Then eat it. And end of dream. Yeah, disappointing and random, I know. That's some dreams for you. They're like drive-bys, except less bullets and death and discount jalopies. But do question Mako. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Sleep demon. Paralysis. Bonus half... Bonus half asleep audio-visual hallucination. I started to come to. Eyes still closed. Still at night and very dark. I then heard some sort of auditory hallucination, while some evil red sound wave looking thing spiked in the left corner of my closed eyes, my vision. The sound was something like... Grrr, like some asshole spamming on a shit quality mic. Okay, it went from horror to comedy and then horror again. Much like the one I am using back in the day, but worse. I then 100% awoke, opening my eyes slowly, turning to my left and seeing nothing was there. Well, fuck if I know what triggered that. Just some miscellaneous stress or 2 of my neurons disagreeing with each other and having a bar fight. You know, it's like the choo-choos arguing from Wind Waker. You know, it's like angry Japanese arguing in reverse and also high-pitched. Causing me to spaz out and then have a quick waxy dreams aside. Neat. Dream 3, February 23rd, 2017. Part 1. Something about sentient beetles. Oh, that's right, what are the sentient beetles? How do you do? Catch us in Breath of the Wild. Sentient beetles are some shit though helping me. Needed to repay the favor by getting them food. They like fruit and vegetables, I think, for some reason. So I was hovering around, probably in a jetpack. Oh, by levitation to mind bullets. Dunno, picking off fruit off a tree. What looked like oranges? I guess that wasn't enough, because I proceeded to get more something. So I went to a store, probably Walmart, and looked around for said food. I ended up coming across some pumpkins, or squash. which were a bit taller than they were wide. They had tags on them saying, organic! And I probably said something along the lines of, oh boy, these look good. Maybe I'll get one for myself. Which is weird, because I never had squash or pumpkin on their own. Although I do like pumpkin pie quite a bit. Wait a minute, clearly organic. Fresh food in the Walmart? Now this has to be a Whole Foods or some shit. You know, go there. Rich assholes. I think... that was the end of the dream, I assume. I returned the organic pumpkin spice to the sentient beetles on the island. They're like googly-eyed Animal Crossing beetles, but they fucking talk. And they were thankful. We parted ways. I still don't know what the beetles helped me with. Maybe they didn't help me at all and I was just exploring the seas. And these random beetles started talking to me! The islands, by the way, being pretty small, like Michelin's Wind Waker island small. No more than 50 to 100 feet in the diameter. Totally not the Animal Crossing island. Beetle Island, farmed from many bells. 50 to 100 feet in the diameter, I suppose. And the weird thing is, I don't even clearly remember the beetles talking to me. But I clearly know that they did talk to me. Part 2. A plane was being hijacked, and... wait a minute. I think I made like a really crude, like, MS Paint, like, drawing. It's like... oh, it's ugly! You know, it's Clam from, Camp Lazlo says. Bad drawing! Plane was being hijacked, MP5 in hand. Then I started flying toward the plane and unleashing my gun fiercely in the general direction to take the scumbag hijackers out and recover the plane. Which, by the way, was a cargo plane of some sort. Painted in army camo, I think. Or plain desert tan. So it seems I took out a couple of dudes shooting at me, standing atop the plane's wings. I then boarded the plane and proceeded to take out the stoop piloting the plane. Sorry, past me. What the fuck is a stoop? Stoop kid won't leave his stoop. I then quickly realized that I couldn't pilot the damn thing, so I had to gather all of my telekinetic mind bullet power and slow down the plane to a stasis stop using massive amounts of telekinesis. I think I saved some hostages aboard the plane in the cargo area. We then proceeded to return back to a base of some sort. What looked like a hangar for planes and vehicles and the like. I then shortly piloted this mech, probably recovered from the plane, to move it to its correct parking space in the hangar. While entering the mech, I said out loud jokingly, "I'll take it on in a Skell!" Even though it wasn't clearly a Skell, but a fairly smaller mech. With a sphere-shaped cockpit, the entire thing having a grey-silverish paint job. I then parked the mech, exited it, and that's about it, I suppose. February, Dream 4. February 25th, So I was in this rural area around a shack or some shit, though. I was fiddling around with a bunch of Game Boy Color games, some of which were obvious bootleg-looking cards. The most obvious one I remember is one with the obviously fan-drawn Din, from Oracle of Seasons, Zoldo, on the front of the card, and the only thing that was on it, I can't remember if I actually turned the damn thing on or just knew, because apparently I had, like, micro-memory in dreams or something. Was something along the lines of a really shitty MS Paint-like program, or maybe it was just crude pixelated porn of it or some shit, though I don't know. Oh no! Pixel porn's Dean Zonography. Yeah. Next, I was fiddling with some DS cards, I guess. One of which I actually remember putting into the DS and playing. Or was it 3DS? It was a non-existent top-down action-adventure DBZ game. You know, like Legacy of Gotham 2 or Boo's Fury. I know it clearly wasn't either of those games. Or probably any existing game, because I was in this town I never saw. And in it, I got a golden Krillin statue out of a chest. You know, it's like the golden Tingle statues from Wind Waker. Oh, he's so bald and gold. Or was it just laying there? I forget. After I was done playing, I put all the GBC and DS/3DS games into a plastic bag. Much like I do in real life in my N64 carts. Because I don't have a proper place to put them in that weird green plastic box that used to contain educational cards I got from my mom's friend. Giannis broke. Christ, I can't believe I still remember that and what it contained. And who it was from. Educational flashcards. No, not titties, the math type of flash. Now I do remember having vaguely similar dreams about fiddling with possibly non-existent older games and hardware. In dreams long ago. Whenever them I remember fiddling with a cart, cleaning it, putting it back together, something along the lines of that, and I had a bunch of game carts near me. And I just bought them from a garage sale totally not haunted. Or something like that. Hyper-realistic blood! And I think I remember playing Banjo-Kazooie in the dream, even though I didn't play it before that point. There was this other dream about some primitive-looking GBC game. Something about trees and top-down and collecting something. Ah, dreams. They're about as stable as oatmeal. Dream 5, February 26, 2017. It felt like I overslept because I had way too many parts to this dream. What seems like around 5, so many that I couldn't remember them all. But no, I didn't oversleep. I usually oversleep at night. I can barely remember bits and pieces. But here goes. Zurg/Zorg, whatever space is called from the Buzz Lightyear movie, was doing something. Probably evil. This lava furnace near him malfunctions, spewing lava from the bust pipe. Scalding the fecker pretty badly. It seems he is trapped, because I think the room he was in did an auto lockdown, with all the doors sealing shut, because he didn't try to get away. The lava, vaguely water heater looking thing. The furnace finally fully ruptures / explodes, with lava gooshing out of its full force, killing Zorg in agonizing pain. Actually felt bad for the dude, you know, I was kind of a scumbag. Oh no! Funny how the Metroid Prime Escape theme plays around this part. Samus, you must get out of there! The lava furnace has exploded! Oh no, you've been Metroid Prime, you lost all your power-ups and shit! Dr. Breen, I think, was trying to form, like, a mega black hole or something from a bunch of regular black holes in a flat wall of, Actually, the mega black hole, some red tint to it. Evil portal. I think the entire universe was about to suck itself into its own asshole and collapse the fabric of reality. Yo, you ever have a terrifying dream about scary shit happening in space? It's like a giga black hole and you sucks the entire multiverse into a straw and then another space dream, you're exploring in super deep space and you're like, where the fuck am I? Welcome to space, hell fucker. Sucked itself in and collapsed the fabric. I think someone stopped him, or maybe the dream just ended abruptly. Maybe it's an alternate non-existent ending to halfway through while Gordon Freeman fails to start bringing and shit goes crazy. I also dreamt I got a really bad computer Vetus. Yeah, that's a somewhat occurring dream where you just, you know, win a computer Vetus like casino. You know, it's like blurring off like a casino. If only actual viruses were that entertaining, and, you know, it's just instead of, like, you know, Bitcoin mining your bottle. I got really bad computer virus that was harassing me with prompts. Actually dreaming out getting a really bad virus every now and then, but it never happens. Because I have North, and you cannot beat me. Maybe some racing segment from 007 and everything early. Cut to colored and TSC Zora bars. Beep! Yeah. March 19th, 2017. Well, Part 1. Something about being at some random stranger's house at night. Prowling around some bushes or some shit. I think I fired a handgun or something. It's something about the blaze at the end. I randomly, you know, break and enter and shoot up the place. For no reason! The end. Part 2, I was on a big ship, a freighter or something like that. Super Mario Eclipse! Yahoo. Checking out the fuel/engine room, looking for anything amiss. Everything seemed fine. So I stepped out to get some fresh air. Not long after that, the ship started stalling and having problems. It seems somebody sabotaged the fuel line and cut it to screw us over for some godforsaken reason. So it appears we failed to bring a radio with us. Or it was sabotaged as well. Or didn't get a signal because everyone was going apeshit. We're stranded! And started shooting off flares and yelling and shit. Luckily, we drifted near a Continental. Several hours later, saw some boats. So me and some other crewmates swam to one of the boats and climbed aboard all not totally creepy-like and started talking to a black chick in a bikini. Excuse me, but me and my crew are horribly stranded. We were hoping you could phone for help, and then her angry father appeared and started blabbing at us. Understandably, because we boarded their boat out of nowhere. After a bit of bickering, another crewmate stepped in to incapacitate him. Had a neck snap or something. And then we phoned for help, and that was that. So I guess the lesson is sometimes you're fit. You need help, and sometimes you go splinter cell on the ass, or maybe try to read something, I guess. Part 3. It seems I was in Gogland, Poland, visiting some place in Poland that looks somewhat like Blood and Wine from Witcher 3. One time I had a really cool dream. It was like Witcher 3 Bottle and Wine, but it was even like more outlandish. And there was like these giant, super colorful flowers. I'm like, where am I? I like this place, it's weird. And out loud I said something like, this reminds me of Blood and Wine. Which the older people walking next to me, or were we on a cart being driven by a cart? Horses, I forget. Didn't get one bit, although I know they spoke English. They also seemed like some long-lost relatives I never knew existed. Oh no, I am secretly 1.5% Polish. I don't know why, but it felt like something out of a family trip. That's about it. We were just going to some trail with a bunch of really tall sunflowers and some other talking about something. And then Stalker 2 is like, yo, Blood and Wine had the big fucking sunflower field. We need a big flower field! And then the game crashed 50 times at the end. And it ran like shit, because fuck you, E5. Part 4. Me and some other dudes were infiltrating some sort of private facility. The Felicity. Or something like that. It looks something out of Lex Luthor's villainous buildings. I entered some meeting room with a long-ass desk and the like. And I guess I took something of importance, because these bioscan security things with a red directional fancy light activated, and we're looking for intruders. Hybrid heaven! So naturally, we avoid them. And I did get spotted by one momentarily. Yeah, the guards. But they take forever to scan a person, or an intruder like it's a video game mechanic. It's supposed to be recognized as not an employee almost instantly. So I hid behind the pillar, before it could scan me completely. Adam Jensen, get out of there. We got out of there, with one of the dudes almost being caught by them security bioscan cameras, quickly hiding behind a big pile of wall clocks and gears. So after we got out of the building, me and the other guys had collected a bunch of ornate clocks / gears that were vaguely golden color and metal. Maybe they were made out of gold. We threw them onto a giant pile of the same thing. Jesus, where'd we get so much? Anyway, we started opening them up. Kind of like the locket, you know? And there were different objects inside each, all being a different piece of a clue leading to some mysterious treasure we were looking for. Either being held by the villainous dudes, keeping all of this clock shit to themselves, or being hunted by them as well. Yeah, so we head off to find whatever that was, and that was it. Well, that's what happens if you sleep for like 18 hours in a row. Coma. You get like 500 part dream. How am I not in a coma right now? I think some of these weird orangish hyperactive ass thrusting ants infesting my desk and keyboard crawled up into my brain and are now destroying me as I run the strange but completely true drums. Neat. Hyper ass thrusting ants invade your keyboard. More at 11. March 21st, 2017. I don't know, it's never. I was in this house I didn't recognize. That'll be a recurring line. I was in this building I did not recognize. And the sky is blue. I wanted purple. There are spiders goddamn everywhere! I think this was 10 to 20 years in the future and I was visiting my mom. Seemed noticeably older. Older? Who weirdly enough didn't seem to give a shit about the surplus of spiders on the walls and ceiling. She's freaked out by relatively easily by most bugs. Anyway, Nalakar came to this house. A giant bright / red / yellow spider came around and grabbed both of us in its massive pincers. I don't know. I know spiders don't particularly have weird legs, but I could have sworn this one had pincers at the end of them. Or something like that. Anyway, it was about ready to crush both of us, or something along the lines of that. And out loud I said, "Before I go to hell, grant me one final request." And out of nowhere, my probably duller than a brick $20 katana I got out of eBay appeared in my left hand like a keyblade or some shit. Keyblade recall, and I somehow cut off the two fuckers' legs with ease, saving us both. I thought to kill it, but it did retreat to the ceiling like that one Turok 2 boss, a mother. Oh well, some void in the ceiling. Because I didn't see it shortly after, disappeared. It, noped out of existence. which I should have seen, so it's a normalized house ceiling, no higher than 40 feet off the ground. And that was the end of that. I don't know, sort of some whole spider went to search for the. Wait a minute. But the spider part is easy to decipher, I guess, yesterday. I noticed extremely symmetrical puncture marks on my left hand on old Spider-Man. Like a spider, I suppose. I think maybe a spider must have bit me in my sleep yesterday or so. Well, it might have kind of done the bite me on my hand and not in my face. I don't have a particular fear of spiders, but I'm not a huge fan of them either. Also, my mom refuses to have a dude spray pesticide paranoid breathing sensor or something, unless it's a bitch. Anyway. Dream 8, March 20th, 2017. Something about burning some evil people's possessions to keep them from reincarnating or being invincible or some shit. One of them was a magazine, which I hid on a shelf under a bag of Fritos for some godforsaken reason. My least favorite chip, right next to, like, plain Lay's. Need some dip. Me, some dude, and some other dude that looked like Chester from Dude, Where's My Car? What's that actor's name? Sean, what's-his-face? My name is also Sean. We all had chainsaws, but Chester, what's-his-face, had this reciprocating chainsaw. Nails! Wood chip! That is. The entire blade mechanism jabs back and forth on top of the chainsaw rotating motion. Demonstrating that he then turned it off and gave me a strange look, cocking his head, looking all tired, rubbing a belt or strap or something attached to the chainsaw along his neck, or the chainsaw swinging down to the ground level, and then it turns itself on, and due to the specific nature of it, it thrusted itself upon it, started sawing what's-his-face dick first. What? And then he naturally started screaming like a bad Santa Claus on Mountain of Pain. And then the dream ended. I'm not sure either. Can't make this shit up if I tried. April 17, 2017. I was out in this rural area, apparently visiting my dad's place for a bit, because he comes into play later. Problem is, I've never visited him where he's currently living now. In fact, it was in several years. I suppose what triggered part of this dream was a couple days ago. Good old mom suggested it's high time I give him a visit for the summer. Anyway, I was on this hill-like area with some sort of weird New Age water mill. Because there was no water wheel. It wasn't set up by a river, but on some sort of pond/underwater source. There were these extended, exposed pipes surrounding the mill, and I guess I was helping fix them, because a piece of the pipe structure got blown off from too much water pressure. Or something, because they put it back into place by either my bare hands, telekinesis, or magnesis. So magnesis, remember the well, because, you know, I played that game for a little over 2 weeks straight, and apparently leaked into my dreams nearly a month after that. Well, after I fixed it, I think I was playing around with another spare piece of pipe or something. I levitated all the way up to the top of some sort of old-fashioned wooden water tower, seeing if it may be connected to it or some other... And then, the literally impossible happened. A large body of water magically and instantly flooded the entire area. The water must have been like 60 feet high. And then moments later, it went back down. Well, that was random! Even for dream standards. It's like if dreams had Tourette's or something. Back rubs! What? Get back here, you big orange fuck. Anyway, after the ghost of Moses was done having his random flood wrath, there were some animals around the hill. A cow, I think. So then comes Dad fixing shit around the water tower. Then I took to the skies somehow. Probably by climbing to the top of the hill or water tower. In wingsuiting it off. Paraglider or some other. I began zooming towards some planes of some sort. Not 200 or 300 feet away from the mill, there was some small dragons near the ground. So naturally, I brandished a sword from out of nowhere and started to glide down towards them, taking most of their heads off in one swoop while screaming, "Hiya!" Kind of like Zack Fair does in See with the Limit Break. Oh yeah, hiya! Do-do-do, assault rush. Pissing off the remaining dragon. It swooped towards me and knocked me out of there, but I was just fine. I shot it in the face with a shotgun, and then everything was quiet. And... Dream 10, May 8th, 2017. I was in a previous house I lived in about 12 years ago from now. And it's really weird. This is the house I have the most dreams about from time to time. Place must be haunted or something. Which, funny thing, me and my mom were driving around visiting the complex house quite a while after we moved out. And the outside was being uncared for. The exterior looked pretty terrible, and it actually looked haunted compared to, like, every other house in the area. Also, the landlord was trash! Just kidding. 99% of landlords are trash! You'll be incredibly lucky to find one who actually gives a shit about their tenants and also don't charge the rent too damn high! Or maybe they have to charge the rent too damn high because they're paying a rent in their own ritzier complex and shit. The landlord pyramid... It's the landlord pyramid scheme from hell! Anyway, I was in the kitchen rolling around on my desk chair. I then bumped into the shades of the glass sliding door to the backyard. It was also night. So naturally I get spooked, thinking something's gonna bust through the door and grab the arse or something. Printing noises were going on, meanwhile, in my brother Jonathan's room. Maybe he was printing out a walkthrough or MapQuest directions or some shit. He wanted me to buy a used copy of Resident Evil 0, or Remake, or both. I then was suddenly in a complex area completely unfamiliar to my own, that overlooked a balcony/cliff with a sidewalk leading down to the lower level a good 15 to 30 feet below, or so. And it was maybe next to water. And also, near the bottom of that area was a tree with no leaves. Spooky. On the upper level, there was a used copy of Resident Evil Remake on the ground, with the box split in half. One half being loose on the ground, the other half with a disc in it being in a plastic bag. Weird and convenient, or maybe not. Probably scratched beyond repair. There was also a used copy of Resident Evil 0 on the ground. Then suddenly, a crimson head from Remake darted down a bit of sidewalk from left to right. It then spotted me. It then started to chase me, probably wanting to claw my face off, or maybe ask for some spare change. Safe better than clawing my face off, though. I quickly started running from it, because I value having my face in one piece, like most people, then jumping over the metal rail, and down to the lower level. Landing in the leafless tree, I think. That was the only dream. Well, I guess that was half nightmare, half neutral dream. I swear I was sleeping in complete... What? Sleeping in complete darkness almost always gives me dreams and nightmares. So all the time? I am sleep like it's complete darkness. Don't forget to take your vitamins, or you have too many nightmare. Or maybe have vitamin powder nightmare. Dream 11, May 22nd, 2017. I was complaining about some lady using my money to build some small building. She was installing a door to the quarter finished building at the time. And after she was done working on the door for a moment, we strolled into this community with some trees planted about through the pathway, and I was like, I'm gonna cut a few of these down to use as lumber for the building. She was like, no! So we head into, I assume. So we head into this library, and then take a left to a dead end, and talk about something. The library is shaped like a square 7, basically. With the top left end being dome-shaped, we started heading back towards the entrance. I spot this real pineapple tree with a bunch of pineapples on it. I said, oh hey, can I pick a few? And the lady friend said, it's up to the something library owner, question mark. So I picked literally all of them with telekinesis, so I was a mage of some sort. And as I hold the pineapples freshly plucked from the tree in midair, I see this dude sneaking up to the stuffed bear statue, doing something to it. Suddenly it comes to life and starts attacking everyone. It then attacks me, punching me back over a counter of books. I then blast it towards a very tall bookshelf with a telekinetic blast, sending a bunch of books flying off the shelf. The bear then falls to the ground and charges at me again. Just before it claws off my face, time freezes. It's like some really bad QT or reflex mode from Metal Gear Solid 5, except completely frozen. I then Hadoukened it into the face, killing it, I assume. And that was in the dream. This is because it's a sequel to Lichten Battle Mage. Simplified, you know. That game is a mixed bag of peanuts and beans. Dream 12th, May 24th, 2017. I dreamt I was back in my grandpa and grandma's house, back in Nevada. It was night. I was playing on a purple Game Boy Color which I've never had any Game Boy older than Advanced. So already that's weird. The only other person in the house was my brother Brian, who was also watching TV. The game I was playing was some non-existent title starring that first bodyguard from Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land, you know, the green, like, goblin or orchid dude with the big purple lips or what the... Again, weird. Not only is that game weird in itself, but it's even weirder that it's a spin-off of a minor character predating the DS or the GBA for that matter. Maybe even predating Majora's Mask. Then the power was running low on my GBC. I think I asked Brian what a recharger was. Which again was weird, pretty sure the GBC didn't have a rechargeable battery. Or lithium ion too advanced for the 90s. I mean, where are some batteries? I forgot whether he replied or whether I asked him or not, but in any case, I was like, fuck it, this house is creepy, especially at night. I'm just gonna sprint towards, Renee's old room at the end of all hall. What? Renee's ma und BTW. So I start running to the end of the hallway, leading to all rooms. On the left side, there are 2 bedrooms. On the right side, there's a master bedroom and a bathroom. Near the end of the hallway, a shadow figure came out running and screaming from a new non-existent room between the master bedroom and the bathroom, and paralyzed my ass to the ground in fear. I then woke up. Gosh darn. Yeah, that's random out of the blue. Nightmare confirms that piece of shit house was definitely haunted. The power of Christ demolishes your bullshit. A little backstory in this ancient fecker of a house. Way back like 16 years ago, it seemed to actually be haunted at one point. Grandpa's dumb friend, or was it cousin or some shit, or Ralph, or maybe it was someone else, decided to invoke the magic of Satan. Black magic bullshit in the room to the left. That's where my mom was living when we were staying there 100 million years ago, which Grandpa then moved to much later when Grandma was getting into annoying or some shit. Anyway, Mom said one night she felt something touching her as she slept. She's never had an experience like this before, so pretty much sure she's telling the truth. So one day my mom decided to fuck the ghost over with the power of Christ, with the Bible in hand and shit. And that seemed to make it fuck off. Or make it fuck off for the most part. Don't think I heard any ghost stories after that, besides minor bullshit like lights turning themselves off, or the microwave counting backwards, or rather forwards when I was cooking. I think maybe faulty wiring for that light shit, or the microwave going crazy, or someone being overly tired and misperceptive and looking at the counter wrong. So yeah, fuck evil spirits in ancient hands. You shadow Kuntz Street. Dream 13, June 6, 2017. I was in this indoor stadium type place. Real high up. Can't really remember what was going on. Whether it was a sport or something else. The place was absolutely filled with people, though. Later in the dream, I spontaneously switched places to the very bottom left. Looking at the stadium from a top-down perspective, I was just lying down, nearly falling asleep. Probably because whatever event was going on seemed to be lasting hours! There was this woman lying next to me that looked sort of like Paz from the Metal Gears, having the short blonde fluffy hair and the whatnot. As much as I can remember. Have you heard of the High Elves? Have you heard of the nonsensical dreams that make no sense? Dream 14, June 8th, 2017. I was playing this creepy, non-existent mod. Something that seemed like a fusion between Resident Evil and Afraid of Monsters. Well, it's much closer to Afraid of Monsters, really. Most of the area is pretty dark as the power was out, and you had to restore it. One area consisted of a large ventilation system or something like that. The area that was surrounded by water, or it had the moat surrounding the central area. It's kind of like an oil rig at sea, except it was much closer to the water than the usual oil rig is. There were 2 differently designed bridges leading from the first area to the central oil rig base, quote-unquote. There was also this tower with a staircase inside, leading to the upper levels, right before the bridges. So I climbed the stairs. At one point, I remember some vertexes from the player's gun view model. I guess the surrounding area was going crazy and stretching into infinity. I guess it was a glitch or something. Too many vertexes rendered her world not rendered. You know, source engine limitation bullshit. Probably, yeah, too many vertexes of your whole world not rendered. Because climbing the staircase, a mostly invisible monster attacked me. Naturally, it made me shit the bricks. Yeah, the monster was pretty much something from a variety of monsters. You know, the common monster that was mostly invisible, more common. Towards the end of the game, the twitches. Very uncanny horror game enemy. I guess there wasn't that much after that. Although I do remember being in a very empty, bland room with some handgun ammo, some magnum ammo, and I think a crate scattered about. The lighting was very dark, and at any moment I felt like a monster would randomly appear in any corner of the room, but never did. I think I eventually restored power in the upper levels. I remember the lighting being very beautiful, intricate and varied, despite it being a bleak sea-based thing. Although kind of rough, it seems the mapper forgot to sharpen the light maps on some brushes. Primarily 4 brushes. Shadow JPEGs. At one point of the dream, I was actually messing around the map in Hammer. Mapception. Maybe I was the developer. Also, something really weird happened. The map in Hammer was fully rendered with lighting. Wow, it's like Hammer++ before it was actually made or something. That's weird. Which isn't ever the case, so I tried selecting all the light entities with, get this, voice commands! Attention, Hammer, select all light entities. I tried saying something along the lines of, select all light entities, turn on all lights, or something like that. But it didn't do anything. Probably because my dream became self-aware at that time, because Hammer doesn't have voice commands. Valve can't be asked to add something extra such as voice commands with Hammer. Itself is barely fucking stable! Then I was playing the game again. I was on top of the stairs again on the upper level. Ready to head into what seemed like an office. Horribly, I felt the need to save my game, although I remember there being no save game option in the menu, and the quick save button did nothing, much like Resident Evil 2 sauce. It must have been save station based like a typewriter. There was this girl sitting to the right of me. She was about 19. Why do I know this? Clad in a bikini, I think. Ooh. I sat next to her and started kissing her, and then we started to fucking maybe, not sure. Not sure why get kink on with nearby girl equals save game. Oh, that's the best way to save your game, you know. It's even better than typewriter. It's even better than, you know, taking a shit a la No More Heroes. No, to save your game, you know, you make the sex happen. Maybe I just saved my game via console and needed a break and decided to get my kink on with non-existent GF. Well, in any case, the mod did seem really cool again. That's pretty much. Non-existent game / mod dream I had. I wish it was real. Yeah, some of my dreams were like relatively mundane, and then, you know, wacky shit like that happens. Sex equals save game. Riveting. Dream 15, June 26, 2017. I was in this Evil Dead type dream, I guess, which is kind of weird, because I've only seen, you know, Army of Darkness. That's it, Evil Dead 3, and never the first 2 films. Anyway, I was, selecting stats off a wall with hand gestures. Oh no, I was playing a Connect game! And told my brother Jonathan, who was in the same room, yeah, it gets a lot faster paced once you max armor and so on. What game is this? That's weird. It must have been the last part of the previous dream that melded with this one. Because beforehand I did dream about when I'm supposedly going to my older brother for his wedding in October. We were sitting at a restaurant table and I was constantly falling asleep at the table. Sleepception. Still, that video game element was kind of random and mostly unrelated to the rest of the dream. Well, minus the next part, which included me selecting a sawed-off shotgun from a vending machine for $5! Or was it 5 credits? Honestly, the maxing out your armor in sawed-off shotgun parts sounds like Doom 4, aka 2016 to me. Minus the buying of said shotgun, because you don't buy Jack. In that game, after grabbing the shotgun, I then said, and in the future, they say vending machines will still be slow as hell. So it was the future. Oh, I was just being sarcastic. I then walk out of the door, and my brother goes elsewhere, I guess. I run down this really busy 4-lane road or something like that, and traffic almost assaults me, naturally. Why did the dumbass cross the road to die in one hit? There was this other dude walking down the road, must have been drunk. Oh, and I must have been crazy, naturally. So I picked up the dude from getting run over. Started jumping real high. Repeatedly past traffic. Final Buster. I guess I had some sort of minor super jumping power. Big jump. Past the traffic. I dropped the dude off. He gave thanks and ran away. Thank you! I'm free! To kill! I was now in the storage type alley. Storage type alley. Shutter doors. As there was white gray metal containers everywhere. It was behind the store. Let's just assume this store was a S-Mart or something. Shop Smart. Shop S-Mart. It's like a Walmart, but less China. So I began walking down the alley. And then this stammering freak of nature jumps out and surprises me. Starts walking towards me. I say, whoa, stand back! Stay back! I ain't got no dollar bill on me, boy! Or something along the lines of that. He keeps walking towards me, all spastic. Like, get back. I will shoot! Shoot! I said. He continued towards me, and I didn't have the guts to shoot him. So I ran away and avoided him. Evasion. After chasing me for a bit, he must have took a wrong turn and hurt himself, because he was dead on the ground at a dead end near some containers. I walk in the opposite direction to find more of these undead people. Oh, they're zombies now! Jumping excitedly on some tall boxes. They're very, ADD ghouls. One of them approached me, a lady. Except this one could talk. Look at what she said. But she spoke all nervous, like, whilst walking towards me. Like the funny, haha, I'll bite your neck off once I get close enough. Type of way. So I carefully ignore her. How do you carefully ignore something? And run away into the store the alley was behind. More undead in here. Although there was some normal people in here there too. They didn't seem to notice that they were surrounded by dead people. Weird. Must have been the Evil Dead version of They Live or whatever. That one movie where the dude can see the aliens or whatever. The special sunglasses. I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of ass, ass, ass. Buzz, buzz, buzz. I climb onto this tall shelf / platform. Which is weird, because there's a bunch of stuff up here for sale. You're not supposed to climb this shit. I look from shelf to shelf. Something about banning something was going about. Folk to find out. And then the dream ended shortly. Dream 16. July 5th, 2017. Dreamt about playing some sort of weird version of Wind Waker with all new dungeons and whatnot. Kind of like Wind Waker 2! Not Phantom Hourglass! But there were PH elements in the game. Like, I remember getting those power / courage / wisdom stones and chests in parts of the dream. Big sip, boys. And I remember at least 2 dungeons. One had a lot of cube geometry and water, I think. The other was a windy platform / obstacle type place, with the abyss below everything. Something about a Dark Knight or a Lionel or something sleeping on a platform. But I landed on it before waking him up, and apparently brought a pot with me or something. And it was glitching back and forth because you weren't supposed to land there without triggering him waking up, I guess. That's pretty much it. Then at the end of the dream, not Wind Waker, parentheses, I was in this ventilation shaft with a vent cover that slides up. I was picking my nose a bunch and collecting a bunch of stuff. It took a clump in my head. Gross. It looked like a bunch of empty, flat, discarded pill casings. And I said, I wonder why my snout is pill-shaped. I'm not sure what triggered these type of weird dreams either. It was probably that cold coffee crap from McDonald's that did it. McDonald's coffee, not even once. At least not cold. Dream 17, July 9th, 2017. Dreamt about androids taking over. Wasn't in... Yet again, every time I say unfamiliar, you know, take a shot, you'll be dead within the hour. I was in an unfamiliar apartment. An android came in. I shot it in the head. I then checked the ammo of my handgun. I looked at the top, and the top of the slash barrel was transparent, and also double-barreled. There was a bunch of bullets lined up in a row in both barrels. That makes no sense, because that's totally how guns work. I guess my brain thought it would be a really good idea if it combined a handgun, a BB gun, and a sawed-off all in one. Something about opening up a 3-pack of minty gum and chewing said gum. Can't remember much else after that. Then a quick second part dream happened, I guess. I was playing with Cody, my first pet dog, who was also a psychopath, because He's like biting you on the neck and shit, and he almost ripped my asshole, like, trachea out one day. He was being playful and all, then I closed my eyes, and he darted across me. I was laying on the ground. End of drama. Dream 18, July 14th. July 14th, what? 2017, I guess? First had a dream about traversing some buildings. They were apartments or something like that. I was going through some staircases. I think I no-clipped. I love no-clipping in dreams, don't you? Through the area at one point. Went in one of the apartments. Looked like two people were running a makeshift restaurant in it. It kind of reminds you of that one part in the Sven co-op map, Laundromat. There's just like in this motel, you know, one of the motel rooms is like a mini version of a restaurant. It's like that one part from that other Sven co-op map, Rio 1, not BSP. It is this micro restaurant. Resident Evil outbreak. Weird. Then a second part to the dream. Went to a fast food restaurant with Mom and Grandma, I think. I guess we ordered something and I was wandering around the place. Was taking a while for them to prepare it. Mom was like, it's taking forever for them to get an order. Or something like that. Eventually, I guess we got our food and that was it. Then the third part, I had a dream about Kingdom Hearts 3. Sora was flying through space. Although the space area felt like its own area rather than a world map or something like that. It's like my dream semi-predicted the, you know, the gummy ship space world map area from 3. There was this giant sword floating in space. Not a keyblade, but a sword. Looked like something a Skell would wield. I felt like I could wield it with telekinesis, although Sword just grabbed it and it seemed to shrink down to its size. How convenient. Or maybe it didn't shrink and the camera got all weird. Anyway, Sora starts flying through space at like Mach 12. How did his eyeballs not pop out of his skull? It's all wondrous and shit. Until he comes up upon this centaur sprinting through space. Sora then proceeded to break the crap out of it. Maybe it's a Lionel. Oh, the giant sword! Oh, the thing didn't seem to be killable though. I loaded the game and yellow text said, "You unlocked concept art." Saying something about finding Pisces. And something about a percentage completion. What was this, Final Fantasy 9? Ah, Stellatio! Oh! And then the centaur ran off. The yellow text credits started appearing and scrolling after that. Like it was an E3 demonstration. I thought that was the end. Also, please note, before I had the stream, I've seen pretty much no gameplay of Doom 3, besides a small amount of announced trailer. Non-development, and then a small gameplay for. Yo, my dream version of Kingdom Hearts 3 is better than actual Kingdom Hearts 3. Because it doesn't follow any fucking logic. Much like Kingdom Hearts itself. Dream 19, August 6, 2017. Two-parter, part 1. I was on top of a set of stairs outside at a school leading to an external classroom. Or maybe a cafeteria, who knows. Across from the stairs was a parking lot. And there was a kid in what's-his-face from Terminator 2 posing as a cop. Terminator Liquid Metal Johnson talking to each other. One of them, I forget who, then pulls out a hand grenade, pulls the pin, and then proceeds to bounce the grenade like a basketball. I run up to the top of the stairs near the door in fear. The grenade never goes off for some reason, by the way. I open the door, and there's this giant whitish spider on the door, about the size of a tarantula, ready to jump at me. I am stunned in fear, keeping the door half open. There's a bunch of kids staring at me. I have this do something look in my face. Well, they do nothing and the dream ends there. But me and my brother Brian are back in the house in Nevada with the giant living room and the den that was my room. We were playing some weird fusion of Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil Remake on the Wii, but with GameCube controllers. So we were probably playing a GameCube game. The environment wasn't either the mansion or the training facility. It was some weird new mansion, I guess, with these somewhat dimly yellow-orange lit corridors. Also, there was this unlockable costume for Chris, I think. It was Kratos. It came with an incendiary shotgun with infinite ammo. It one-shot zombies like the grenade launcher from Remake loaded with flame rounds. Except in a line of fire. So we were killing zombies and shit, though. We accidentally got sidetracked and Flare 2 failed to explore every room systematically. I somehow accidentally pushed him into a room. To a yo, old school co-op Resident Evil? That's weird. I wonder if, suppose it's Resident Evil 0 remake will have, like, optional co-op. That could be very, very interesting. Accidentally enter another nearby door. Because apparently in this game, you just get magnetized a door to enter them. As opposed to getting near them and pressing A button. When you entered a door, there was no loading transition. But you did enter the room all the way and close the door behind you. So it's like a combination of older games and RE4. I think Revelations did something like this. I forget though. At one point, I think we got an achievement or some shit. And 2 new GameCube controllers materialized in front of us for it. Yeah, I don't know either. End of dream. Well, free physical DLC. Teleporting in front of you magically. Dream 20, September 5th, 2017. Part 1. Bought an old bag of microwavable popcorn, probably off eBay or something. Advertising Klonoa. The remake, I assume. No, I want my Wahoo's fish taco. And I cooked it. At the top of the bag. Wahoo's fish taco. Wahoo! On both sides it said Klonoa. But on the middle sides of the bag it said Klonoa with a C. How the hell did they spell it right in one place and misspell it elsewhere? Weird. I also think I remember eating some. Weirdly enough, it was still fine. Minus being like several years old. Part 2. Was playing some non-existent Tomb Raider 3 level. Looked like a combination of the coastal village and the jungle. Something about a wrecked ship. There being pistols, shotgun, deagle, and Uzis on the ground. I already had the pistols, I picked up everything else. But then picked up the pistols out of sheer curiosity. It then glitched my inventory. For some reason it removed my deagle, shotgun, and Uzis. A weird non-existent glitch in a non-existent level in a dream. How about that? Dream 21, September 23rd, 2017. Me and Mom were driving around at night. I had to use the restroom, so we pulled over to this downtown-looking street, and there was a restroom sign on the side of the building, but it led into a restaurant. I wandered around for a bit, passing to the right of a long table full of people, and the bathroom was straight ahead of that. But when I entered the bathroom, it was just a single bathroom with a toilet facing the back wall. And right in front of it being some sort of arcade machine. Oh god, here we go. Also, the bathroom was very dark. But it at least seemed clean. But yeah, who the fuck puts an arcade machine in their bathroom? Right in front of a toilet! Eddie, have you gone nuts? I'm not even sure I remember seeing a sink there, but the walls were also painted green and whatnot. Arcade bathroom. Yo, next restaurant gimmick. Arcade bathroom. So logically, I get the fuck out of there without taking a piss, because I would have to pee awkwardly to the side and shit. I think, no, not the, like, urinal minigames from, like, Japan. No, completely different. Much weirder. I think the more stressed out you are prior to sleeping, the weirder the dream you can potentially have. You don't say, which makes sense, because I just finished beating Dead Rising about an hour before sleeping. That was a very flawed and stressful game at times, and you can bet I was yelling my head off at the game's really design bullshit. It's barely being with one health pack left. Come on! Dream 22. September 24th, 2017. Part 1. I was staying at some different version of my grandparents' house in Nevada, and it was mostly dark. Grandma offered me a bed in the spare room/den, which didn't exist because it was a different version. Although all of a sudden a light appeared out of nowhere. Grandma said, "Where's that light coming from?" An orangish light span on a light fixture that was clearly off. And then these small, transparent, glass-looking angel ornaments started to fly at me and attack! Although they didn't seem to be physical objects, just some form of spectral harassment. We all start going apeshit, and that's about it. And this place is clearly haunted, even in a different version of it. Part 2. So I was at the store out in this rural area, talking to the shopkeep. We call that a merchant. I was like, hey, what's your favorite nut? Shopkeep says, you mean tree nuts? I respond, yes, not the testicles. He shows me this hidden backroom stocked with a shelf of pistachios. He says something like, we've been out of nuts for a while now. Although we keep some stock in secret for customers that are interested. Yo, is this the Zorno section? I also think I talked to a cashier in the back room about something. Not sure what. I'm now in a different part of the store, looking at some sort of board game slash video game section. Ooh, that's a wacky combination. I remember seeing some most likely made up board game named Dead on something something. Looked like some sort of zombie slash Evil Dead looking board game. It said something like, includes over X amount of minutes of footage from whatever. It's a VHS game. Thus. Also, JonTron, hey Johnny, was to my right. I asked him, hey Johnny, you want to go hiking with me and some other people? We might find tree nuts. I don't fucking know either. John responds, nah. Even Dream John's like, what are you talking about? So I packed some Nutri-Grain bars. Nah. Or some shit and some water in a backpack. I take my first pet dog Cody with me to hike throughout some plain slash marshland with like 50 plus other people in front of me. It was bright and sunny. There was lots of tall grass and very shallow puddles of water dotted in between. That was it. Dream 23, September 29th, 2017. I can't believe I'm still alive. Stars. I just got done downloading episode 113 of Full Metal Alchemist. Wait, is there even that many episodes? Anyway, well, I guess I watched it after that. And then this dude who looks like a cross between Louis from RE4 and Carlito from Dead Rising says something about me not spending enough time with my family. We by the way, were in a small chapel or some old building or some shit, if I know. Not long after that, he bursts the double doors open. Oh yeah, saying he's going to burn me alive in an oven for some reason. He's pointing a red 9 handgun at me. Not big surprise. Ready to shoot my ass. I then rewind time by about a minute by pressing the palm of my right hand with my right hand's middle finger to buy me some time. That's the power of my superhero persona, what I'm leaking into my dreams every now and then. Anyway, so I find my GameCube memory card, because that's still irrelevant right now. I tape it to the underside of my mattress, trying to hide it or something. But then I change my mind and tape it to the backside of my jeans I was wearing. You know, in mostly plain sight. I change my mind yet again and find a big plush doll or some sort. A rabbit, I think. I hollow out its right ear and hide the memory card in there. Why the memory card was so important to me at the moment in time is beyond me. It's almost as if I could load my game if I died. Shortly after, the lunatic... Guy's a maniac. Why do you bite me? Burst through the doors. Again. On cue, again threatening to burn my ass for some obligatory reason. He then escorts me out of the place. Seeking his pet bear on me. Oh no, another bear. I ask him, how did you tame a bear? He responds with something I don't remember. His dreams are 90% Vaseline, 8% randomness, and 2% imagination. But he said something along the lines of it being a hobby or something. Oh no, he's a druid. He's a huntard. We walk to these 2 giant iron doors. Double doors. Probably leading to a cremator. The man fumbling around looking for his keys to unlock the door is paying pretty much no attention to me. But his bear was looking at me like I was a steak dinner, I assume. But then I brought up my right hand menacingly, using telekinesis to throw him from side to side under the surrounding walls, near the doors. I pick up his handgun and point it at him. He pulls out a spare handgun and points it back. Mexican standoff. More like Spanish standoff. And with my left hand raised out, I shout, shoot, motherfucker! I dare you! He shoots. I catch the bullet with my psi bullshit. Mine bullets! I cap him in the head. I grab a sniper rifle laying around, shoved it in the bear's mouth and fired. The bear died in agony with gurgling blood out of its mouth. Then this white wolf approaches me, all shut up like it's been shot many times. Drenched in blood, probably from that very brief firefight with no misfire shots. You know. It collapses to the floor in pain. I started crying pretty hard. I tried to heal it with, lay on hands! I'm a paladin, you know, but I guess that power wasn't present in the stream because nothing happened. The white wolf then dies. It started the rain, I think. I cried even harder with every ounce of my soul, as if this wolf was a long-time pet I never had. It's Huey from Haunting Ground / Resident Evil 4 or whatever. Whether I knew this wolf or not, it was pretty sad either way. The endo. My friendo. Dream 24. Boo! October 31st, 2017. Oh, Halloween. Dreamt I was playing a part 1. Very non-existent TF2 map. Very dark. Probably Halloween themed. Suitable for spies. It was on some field with some rock / mountain walls surrounding the upper areas. What too? Was it an area similar? Not to be confused with unfamiliar. To one of the medieval tracks from Diddy Kong Racing. What a surprise, I only beat it for the first time a couple of days ago. And then I beat, you know, Adventure 2 with the silver balloons because I'm crazy. I don't know how I did it either. And I found this two-handed bastard sword / greatsword. Probably just floating around. Turns out it was Excalibur. But the moment I picked it up, a dark spectre ghost thing with red eyes appeared and began to pester me. I tried swinging the sword at it, but no avail as the ghost just dispersed momentarily. So I focused both hands into the hilt of the sword and looked upwards. I started flying up to the sky. I guess Excalibur secretly has the power of flight! Dream 25. Desu! November 12th, 2017. That's a big gap. Half month nearly. Was in an apartment I've never seen. Second floor, if not higher. Grey's aliens were invading, although they didn't seem hostile. They were just scouting the area or something. I looked out the window. Something smacked the outside of the window hard, not sure what. Then the aliens started to leave. I went out the front door to the balcony and spotted one of the Greys. He saw me, and I waved goodbye to him. Bye-bye! I think he understood what I meant and left. Wow, waving is universal. Unless you're from Iraq, then it means death to your people or something. Or that's just like palm of hand showing, not the way. Dream 26, November 20th, 2017. I was with this shady guy. What are you buying? In a dank apartment. Or something like that. Something's happened before this point, but I forget what. Anyway, I said, follow me. And brought me to a secret room hidden behind a vending machine. Half-Life 2 style. Boom, boom. By the way, nice to finally meet you. Although the vending machine was at an angle and the door was obviously revealed. I'm like, what's the point? The secret room is like a narrow, long room. With a bathroom. Boy, dreams sure like their weird bathrooms. Inside was a handgun with a laser sight and a scope. I think it was a 1911 or something along the lines of that. There was 2 of them, but I only needed 1, so I left the other one. We then started exploring the lower levels of the apartment's basement or something. It was really creepy. Some of it had eerie blue lighting. Morrowind lighting. It's kind of like Metro 2033. Turtles meet Silent Hill 2 apartments, or something like that. Speaking of Metro, I think the dude I was exploring with was Russian. Suka, it was Artyom! There's these windows, wide windows with broken out bars. There's also this small gate door that's closed. We open it, but then a fire trap attached to the windows in the doorway goes off. What? But it went off in intervals, so we timed it well and darted through when it was safe. Super hot fire. Eventually we came to this outside area. A courtyard before a cathedral. Or some large building like that. There were monsters everywhere. We split up so we don't get surrounded by monsters or something. Okay. Not already got killed by a monster and I ran like hell. Can't remember. In any case, I started running like hell down this path. Then the shadowy demon dog thing started running at me at stupidly high speeds. Whoa, he's fast! It then swiped me and I didn't even bother to reach my gun. Probably because I knew deep down inside me I put a round one and scratched that thing. Very overpowered, and that was the end of the dream. It got way too yiffy, man. Dream 27. Wait a minute. January 2017. What? Shit's out of order. I don't know, maybe I miswrote. I think I meant 2018. Was on a school field trip or something like that. Was on the bus with some other kids. We went to a stage, probably went to see a show. Afterwards, we started to leave, walking down the scaffolding stair from the washers. But for some reason, I stopped in the middle of it, to the side, waiting for something. Can't remember what for. When we went back to class, I dropped my wallet, and out went flying tons of change. I went to examine a part of my wallet as I scrounged up my useless loose change. I saw 2 spiders in it, still alive, which freaked me out naturally. How they got in there, or how they lived so long without food or water is beyond me. That insect metabolism is overpowered, man. Dream 28. Yeah, I think that one. Last one was January 2018. Part 1. Jonathan let me borrow the GPISP I gave him for a bit. Played Minish Cap, I think. Although there was triangle exclamation mark icon thing where one of the items was supposed to be like a missing item or something. Like from Oblivion. Glitch! Item model not found. You know, it's like pickpocketing that one lady in the... What was it? Braville Mages Guild? It's like, lady, why do you have a missing triangle item in your pockets? Like you used an action replay and glitched the game. Part 2. Something about us living in a 2-story house and there being a shitload of wasp nests in a nearby tree. I said the mom and Dina burned them, but they all said they would just take the entire tree down later. I think I ended up flying past the trees and wasps. Dream 29, February 18th, 2018. Part 1. I'm in an old house. I think there's a zombie apocalypse happening. Yeah, at least like 5% of my dreams contain like some sort of apocalypse. It says something about my my psyche in it. I'm not sure. There's a bunch of other people around and a couple of kids with me. I go upstairs to a small storage room and find a bunch of guns, like a 1911, a VP-70, a double-barreled shotgun, and a couple other guns. I say something like, alright, let's divide the handguns first, since handgun is the most common, because Resident Evil logic. So I'm sifting through the pile of guns and find a really tiny gun, like real tiny. I find out it's actually a toy. I thought it was a self-defense gun. So I give it to one of the kids. Like, here you go. I hand out the 1911, with a silencer attached, I think, to some Weska. Or was it some Ignis-looking dude? A new recipe! Glitch soup! I don't know, I've been playing Final Fantasy 15 lately. I thought, well, here, have the most stars-like handgun I found around here. It suits you. It's Travis Touchdown's cousin, Wesker Gnis. A bit later, I noticed some guns, as well as ammo is missing. Oh no. Chief Brian Iron stole it. And he hid it like Easter eggs. Somebody isn't hoarding / stealing shit. So I questioned everybody aloud. I said, alright, who's been stealing shit? Ammo is literally missing from my handgun. Somehow. It was a pickpocket. You've stolen from the Stealing Guild! The gun I chose was the VP-70, because I'm on Resident Evil 2 nut, after all. So that was the end of the dream, more or less. I can't remember anything past that point. Part 2 was in some shantytown or some shit though. Parkouring around the place, fighting this sand monster ninja thing. Yo, is this Prince of Persia? I think my brother Brian was in the dream. He was in danger as well as I was. I was shooting the thing in the head as it swung past the horizontal pole like it was some sort of Prince of Persia obstacle. But it just bled sand, and I shot it so much it eventually died. Yo, is this, curse the Eye of Isis. I guess. I yell out to my brother to see if he's fine. He walks out of the trash shantytown unscathed. That's it. Dream 30. February 22nd. 2018. Was in another zombie apocalypse. 2 in a row. Type situation. Was in a mall at first, I think. Then I moved to a school or college with something long, simplistic hallways with very high ceilings. Some people were spastically turning into zombies. A lot of people seemed ignored to that for some reason, just walking down hallways acting like nothing is happening. Weird. Later, some giant spider thing came rushing down a hallway. Then it chased after me. I ran as fast as I could down this long-ass hallway. Towards a group of people, I shouted, "Move! Get out of the way!" I pushed them past them and enter a door. To me, left into a lonely room as I hear these people getting tackled by that thing at Mach 10. Giant Monstoro. Part 2, question mark. There's another part that I can't remember. Dream 31. March 22nd, 2018. I dreamt I was Big Boss, riding a motorcycle with 2 ladies. I think it was Quiet on one motorcycle and what's-her-face from MGS3. Not Lady Boss, the lady with the dead shark eyes. And I was on my own motorcycle. This is the best gun ever. We were riding through a light forest/plains, and eventually we came to some long-ass concrete pipe system. So, like a couple of jackasses, we rode into it. And indeed, was cartoonishly long. It's a dream, go figure. After a bit, there was a fork. The ladies went right, and I accidentally went left. The tunnel was too narrow to turn, so I had no choice but to keep going forward. I ended up in some sort of secret underground complex, or housing. Also, the pipeway ended at like a 40-degree angle, so I wasn't getting out that way. I open a door and turn my flashlight on. I see someone turned the other way, just kind of creepily looking down at the ground and twitching a bit. Turns out this place was infested with the Last of Us-style zombies. I think minus the clickers. I back out slowly into the previous room and close the door quietly. I tried to contact Kaz on the radio, but that shit wouldn't fly this far underground. SOL, and decided to knife and shoot the place up with zombies coming out of the woodwork. A little bit into the shoot, Kaz randomly decided to reply and send them backup. A minute or two later, some soldiers came in and helped take out the remaining zombies. Zombies, zombies, zombies! A bit later, it's like 3 in a row, we decided to quarantine the place and scour it for any information that might help us find out just what the hell this place was used for. And what the source of the infection came from, etc. I remember screwing with that old 90s PC with the cheap plasticky tan-colored bullshit and a power button snapped off or something. Yes, I'm MGS3 Big Boss, but I'm also in the 90s and not the 60s. You know, that stream would have kind of been like the Ground Zero's version of Metal Gear Survive, in that it's short and totally not a tech demo. Except this less than 20-minute tech demo of Dream is infinitely fucking better than Survive. I hear Survive's kind of okay, actually, but, you know, we don't talk about that one because it's post-Kojima and Dream 32. Mach 23rd, 2019. Flew to Japan, I think. I went to this hotel that also had like a 200-floor basement or something great like that. Crazy. Me and a bunch of other people started descending the stupid amount of staircases. Me and some other dude got the bright idea of just dropping down a flight of stairs at a time to each ledge, which was carpeted to reduce exploding knees. So it was totally fine and not knee-shattering. A bit later, I leave the group to take a piss in a poorly lit bathroom. While one of the hotel employees stood watch outside of the bathroom, you know, one of the dudes who were escorting us to our rooms, I guess. After my piss, somebody tried to assassinate me for some reason. I run away, the escort gets all panicky and shit. He's like, quickly, we must run! Oh, running stuff happens, and I can't remember anything else. Dream 33, April 12th, 2018. Dreamt I visited Vinesauce Joel's apartment for some godforsaken reason. I was ficking around on his computer. Here, let's go check it out. Playing and recording footage for some reason of a game reminiscent of Rune, killing some bandits of some shit though. It also seems Joel was doing the same thing for some reason. Because there was a folder of a bunch of shit recorded labeled something something bandit killing. Also, I think there was a folder named Klonoa. Joey Klonoa stream when? Also, there appeared to be some pictures of wanking material on his desktop that I probably retrieved from the internet. Because I rushed to delete it all as Joel entered the front door, placing groceries on the counter. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing on my computer? And I'm like, nothing! And he's like, alright. And his computer randomly rebooted itself to change to a different desktop with different files. Weird. I then find out by scrolling the mouse upwards that it scrolled to a bunch of different desktops. Really weird and kind of unorganized. This is something I've never seen, but I'm sure it exists somewhere. On one of the desktop backgrounds was of a dog in an apartment. Joel's, maybe? Also, the groceries he bought was like a hunk of bread and lettuce in like a brown paper bag. Fucked if I remember what else. Boo! Dream 34, April 12th, 2019. Fell asleep during the day. Wow, I'm a lazy piece of shit. What big shock. Was in a big store of some sorts. Probably a mall. I saw on a shelf a bunch of bags filled with candy! I think. Also some giant cupcakes in the middle of the top shelf. Going around to the left of the shelf was an enclave. Don't you love dreams that just have like a bunch of like delicious looking like food, drink, and candy and wacky shit? Kind of reminds you of that like really old like cartoon from like the 60s question mark? I know it's real old. Where, you know, them poor kids, I think it was like... Was it set in Christmas time or something? You know, those really poor kids have like a dream about like Candyland, and then they wake up, and then some random dudes just like donate a bunch of food to them. TM. Also reminds you of another cartoon. This is like obscure and very old. It's something about cartoon animals in like a school and like tree houses and shit. I don't know. Was that a dream too? In a swing set with a girl swinging on it. And about several feet in front of the swing was a spindle with some retro games and whatnot on it. Like N64 games. I think I saw GoldenEye on it. About 15 to 20 feet to the left of the spindle was a long table with a bunch of stuff on it. I spotted this weird bootleg Majorpo's Borpo cartridge on the right side of the table. It says something like Majora's Mask for PC on it. Oh my god. My dream predicted Majora's Mask recompiled or whatever. Which didn't make any sense. Now it does. Mostly. Vine saw us, Vinny walked up to the table and I was like, hey Vin, check out this bootleg cartridge. He was like, oh, heh. Also near the bootleg cartridge was some, you know, two Vine Saw's dreams in a row. Near the bootleg cartridge was some weird, wide touchscreen looking thing with Majora's Mask artwork on a plastic cover of it. Link. Also, it was priced at exactly $206. Me and Vin take a closer look at it, being all like, oh, what the hell is this? Yes. Dream, oh my god. 5 parts and 0.5. Dream 35, April 13, 2018. Part 1, me and Linus Tech Tips, I guess, went cave spelunking or something. We went into this narrow shaft and got stuck. Hello, welcome to the YouTuber celebrity segment of my dreams. Then we found a pathway leading to some weird enclave with sunlit holes / slits in the wall, with some old and musty furniture. Looked like someone had been living in this cave system. We turned to the right to see an old bearded man sitting in a chair. The old man explained to us a quest we must take or some shit. I then stated to myself how this sounded like some sort of beaten to death God of War formula, where we must reach point A to obtain artifact B, then to reach point C and then murder X. Part 2. Mom dropped me off some sort of somewhat futuristic high school. Somewhat reminiscent of Balam Garden from Final Fantasy VIII in Structure. That's like one of the coolest schools ever. More of a college. I wandered around with pennies in my hand, placing them on the ground near the entrance to some classrooms, and also an elevator. Guess I was giving that place my literal 2 cents. I don't know. I was just stressed to be there. Probably because I just hate school in general. Too many freaks. Not enough actual learning going on. Later, when I got home, I complained to Mom how she forgot to pack me a lunch. Then I tried on some red Klonoa-looking shorts that didn't fit me for no reason. Klonoa's pantaloons. Part 3. Something about exploring some sort of spooky, probably haunted 2-story condo apartment. Whatever that got bombed in the side that had the pool and the kitchen right next to each other. I went into a corner of the house, into a room with 2 windows with shades. The room was eerily lit with yellowish light. I then played with the window shades for no reason whatsoever. Part 4. I was in some sort of Miyaga hospital It's some sort of zombie / monster problem. There were these dog height flesh monsters wandering around in some places, kind of like that enemy from Silent Hill 3, but more flesh colored. I started exploring other areas. I entered a room and found a spindly rifle I had no ammo for. I entered another room. Some dude pointed his gun at me. I'm like, hey, you want this gun? And he says, alright, just lay it down to the door frame. And I did so. I wandered around some hallways, entered a nursery, went into the kitchen, and saw a bowl of fruit in the counter. Walked out, and it devolved into a 4.5. Part 4.5. Suddenly, cinematic camera angles. I'm the big detective dude from Heavy Rain. I started talking on a cell phone in Vinny's Mario voice, saying something along the lines of, I gotta solve the case, Luigi. Dude on the phone replied with something, alright, Ethan. That's not Ethan. But his name wasn't Ethan. Too many things getting jumbled up and not making any sense. Part 5. I was flying around the city with streaming glasses. It's like a GoPro, but, you know, wireless satellite internet. And hey guys, I'm streaming at 5 kilobit per year. Streaming to God knows how many people. Probably 5.2 people. A bit into it, I started singing the Skull Flight theme from Xenoblade Chronicles X. Started to cry a bit after the fevers and said, sorry, that's just a beautiful song. It sure is. Train 36. April 26, 2018. Me, Mom, and Dean inherited this mausoleum / shelter thing. And we moved our shit in. Then, for no reason, we explored near a rusty abandoned freighter that had a bunch of cars on and near it at the port. Then a car about 40 feet away fell, and that was tall. And I was like, I knew that was gonna happen! And then 2 more fell. Then a sun tornado blew off a shit ton of cars at us, and we got back in the car and drove away like a month. We then picked up some Taco Bell of some shit on the way. I don't know, I remember holding some sort of thick-ass taco in a wrapper when we got back. Tacos. Dream 37. June 13th, 2018. Yeah, I only had less than 4 hours of sleep. That spawned some pretty rad dreams. I blame the green tea with lemon with great value honey in it. Great value honey not even once. Right before bed, I had a dream about 2 amazing looking games that didn't exist. This is a good dream. The first was about giants. It was like a Breath of the Wild sequel set in the Minish world or something. It was in a forest with these giant majestic trees and this mythical golden lighting lingering throughout the fog in the distance, and it ran at more than 2 frames per second. I was on the outskirts of a village, and the village was getting attacked from giants in the distance. They were throwing boulders away, damaging buildings and threatening the lives of everyone. At one point, I wielded this giant golden spear with unreal strength. That or it weighed nothing. Maybe it was a spear made out of energy. Not only was it giant, but it was real long. It's pretty much the size of a normal spear to the giants, but always about the size of a mouse compared to the giants. Or small dig. This got me thinking. A Breath of the Wild type sequel set in the Minish world, or a Minish Cap prequel, would be pretty amazing. You could be fighting giants as well as other giant things and also normal sized things. Maybe you would play as the Minish equivalent of Link. He would have a tail and it would be awesome. And maybe he would be that weird Proto-Zonai furry thing from Tears of the Kingdom. Aspect of the hero. Yeah, the Tears of the Kingdom dev team totally doesn't have like a bunch of furries on it, TM. Mineral goat titties. Zelda would somehow fall into the Minish world retaining a normal size. She could help you solve puzzles and fight giant enemies. She could carry you out of reach of highlights. That wouldn't be wacky. Part 2. The second part was like a first-person Metroid Prime / hey, Metroid music playing right now. / Lichdom Battle Mage looking game. I was fighting these monsters that kind of looked like a cross between Regenerators from Resident Evil 4 and I think those things from Resident Evil 6. Thing that has a detachable hand that randomly crawls off the show. Meat Grinder QT. Also, they were fairly slender, like Unversed from Kingdom Hearts 2. A bunch of weird shit. They were white. Pale white. Didn't have eyes. I had these gaping mouths with huge spiky teeth as well as long sharp talons slash spikes for fingers. I was in the snow slash ice area fighting them, with some sort of magic shooting out of my hands at a similar fire rate to Samus's arm cannon in the Prime games. But what was really interesting was that I needed to absorb latent energy from objects in the area to power my spells, and even basic attack. I was absorbing energy from clumps of snow on the ground and balls of ice or icicles slash stalactites hanging in midair. It was kind of a similar fashion of how Samus would charge her arm cannon. When I started to absorb energy from one of the ice formations in the air, one of them started to form into one of those pale monsters. Oh no, ammo randomly turned into monsters! It's like a randomizer or something, it's just like goofy shit like that. It then got on top of another one of the monster's shoulders and merged into a menacing humanoid tower. What happened next was I started using some sort of spell combo system, first starting off summoning energy balls from either side of that, emitting rotating lasers, then two spirit bomb looking things in a vertical line that expanded, then it exploded. I guess I defeated them because that was the end of my dream. Well, if they ever make a Lich Battle Mage sequel, it wouldn't hurt them to make it play a little closer to a Metroid Prime game. That would be badass! Oh. This is a very critical dream. Dream 38. July 16, 2018. Dreamt I was playing either a DS or a 3DS game. I'm gonna assume 3DS because the graphics were a bit too good to be DS. It was a Mario 64-esque Mario game starting with a cutscene of a Koopa and something else. Can't remember much other than that. Then all of a sudden I'm playing another 3DS game. A Klonoa game. There was a floating island in the background with waterfalls. A silhouette of Klonoa was sitting on a small rainbow in the background, looking down and looking kind of depressed. It was on the file select screen with 3 files. The top file said Klonoa, and with other misc info like number of lives and whatnot. And the bottom 2 files said Painfall or New Painfall. I don't know what a painfall is, but it sounds edgy as fuck, like a waterfall made out of pure pain, agony, and sorrow. Elemental pain! Klonoa 3 Painfall, the edgiest Klonoa game yet. Naturally, when I woke up, I felt really sad because the game didn't exist. And get ready for a bad drawing! Oh, it's horrible! Painful Island. Dream 39. September 9th, 2018. Me and Brian and Jonathan were driving around a rather western-looking town. And there were somewhat giant chickens roaming around. We pull over in a parking lot, and all of a sudden, it becomes very foggy. The fog is weirdly dark gray. One of its comment on this extreme fog is kind of like a low draw distance in a 5th-gen game. Like Turok or Metal Gear Solid, apparently, or Silent Hill. Because one of us said sarcastically, "This is a sneaking mission, Snake! Something, something." Even though I don't think of MGS when I think of low draw distance game. Then again, that game is usually top-down percent, so anyway, we walk into a store which isn't Walmart or Target. It felt more like a Big Lots or some shit, though. Brian says, "What do you want for your birthday?" Since my birthday was coming up on the 20th. We walk over to the game section. There's this round table with a bunch of used stuff on it. And I see a rectangular tin with some Klonoa artwork. 2 Klonoas in a row. Thinking for some reason, whoa, what's this? Did the Klonoa movie leak or something? Aha, that movie never fucking happened. And it's just like the Sly movie, that shit got shit canned. I open the tin, there's nothing inside. I open another smaller square tin. Also, Dustin, Elysian Tale movie just like got like shelved forever. What's up with furry movies being cancelled? It's a curse, I tells ye, or just a shitty coincidence. Squad 10 was sitting beneath the first one. There was a bunch of loose GBA and GBC games in there. Oh damn, that dreamer resembles the current state of Klonoa perfectly. Oh, not enough main games. Way too many spin-offs. Yep. And it's the other tin full of GBA games. And the movie's probably never going to be finished. Kind of like a Elysian Tale movie. Ah yes, good old movie development hell. More like shelve. Dream 40. September 15th, 2018. Me and some other people were maintaining an underground lava flow comp. Is this another Ah, yet another Klonoa. Oh, it's like I'm obsessed with the games. Yeah, underground lava flow complex. It was either part of a geothermal reactor of sorts, or was for simply redirecting the flow of lava away from the other parts of systems of caves. From a top-down perspective, the place was in shape of a U, with railed walkways hanging over the channels, with giant concrete pipes running through them for directing the lava flow. We were investigating why the place was devoid of lava. I put on a flame-resistant suit, in case a flow of lava were to suddenly appear. Don't want to burst in flames several feet away from the lava's extreme heat. All of a sudden, the place started shaking real bad. We all had a feeling of what was about to go down. Either an earthquake or an intense flow of lava was on its way here. Surely enough, it was the lava. Everyone started running back towards the underground village. Some of the concrete pipe segments gave way to the lava, and it started bursting out with a break in the pipeline. Suddenly, it got very bright in that area. All I could do was watch in awe as this fierce force of nature was rushing towards and under me. But I had to get out of there, so I ran after everyone else towards this underground village. We were at this water channel that was in the village. The small, furry denizens of the village gathered around it. There was a smaller stream of lava rushing through the water. And either me or Klonoa yelled something along the lines of, quick, scoop out some water and save it before the lava completely ruins the water. Oh, yeah, Klonoa was apparently there. I'm kind of obsessed with this little fecker or something. Deal with it. Everyone pitched in to quickly gather as much water as they could out of the channel before the lava completely fucked up the channel and all the water ran through it. Later, me and Klonoa were on the surface. He was against a wall corner outside. Felt like we were at a school or something. I was about to take his picture. All right now, smile nice and wide. Show me these pearly whites. 3, 2... That was the end. I wonder if that underground area happened to be a cave system under Volk or something. What with all that lava and all? But probably not. I don't remember the people anything looking like Volk people. Ah. Dream 41. October 28th, 2018. Part 1. Something about a top-down 2D horror game, or maybe I was looking at a map. Part 2, a Grim Reaper or something similar was chasing me, clipping through the land in a snowy ruin. The wraith was dark blue in appearance. Robed, I think. Dream 42, January 13th, 2018. I had a dream about me and my brother John that went to some tall office building to get an autograph from Captain Picard. But it turns out it was just a hologram of him standing in front of an elevator. I blame the ice cream and root beer I had right before bed. I'm not even familiar with Star Trek, but I liked his voice role in Oblivion of Yoriel Septum. Timing. For Dream 33, Feb 2, 2019. Part 1 though. I'm in a familiar alley. Old buildings... Familiar? Old buildings made from bricks. I think I've been here before from a previous dream. I go into one of these buildings. To my left are enclaves with crotons. I think this is some sort of really run-down, low-profile cyber cafe. I don't know. I go to one of the enclaves at the end. And behind the curtain to find a computer. I log into it to only find out that I actually streamed me playing some games to probably an infuriatingly small audience. Wow, even my dreams are self-aware. I see thumbnails on a grid list. Completely unfamiliar games, including an RTS of some sort. I begin to leave, I then spy something in one of the enclaves near the entrance. A Klonoa plush doll! This thing felt familiar to me. Was it mine? No, it wasn't. Did I leave it here? Nope, it was just sitting there looking lost, so I took it me. Part 2. I'm on a rooftop in some sort of oriental-looking place. Maybe it's Hong Kong, since I've beaten Deus Ex to death over and over again. I was holding some sort of rodent in my hands. Could have been my pet Daegu squeakers I used to have. Not quite sure. So not squeakers jumped out of my hands for whatever reason. And fell onto a balcony floor below. I follow him, to then see him going down a drainage pipe. I climb down to the very bottom and he's nowhere to be found. I wander off for a bit, and all of a sudden I'm in a casino. Oh, some shit, though. I continue looking for knot squeakers while desperately looking through the casino's carpeting to no avail. Rat's gone! Daegu. Dream 44, February 3rd, 2019. In a place that looks mostly like the RE2 lab entrance, right near the security room and tram elevator. It also had a bunch of Metal Gear Solid-esque redesigns. There were moving lasers on the left wall whilst facing towards the security room / elevator. Snake, you need the thermal goggles or, you know, smoke sensor sticks. Smoke reveal laser. I made my way into the lab. I was in a room with a giant plastic table in the center. Lights slightly flickering. There were some bugs about. I sprayed a dodgy-looking exposed wall with some of its guts ripped out, revealing some bunched-up electrical wiring or some other with some bug spray or vinegar. Later, I made my way outside to a submarine dock. A timer appeared. I dived into the water, struggling to find a secret entrance to an underground underwater passage or submarine or something. Timer ran out. I failed. Big bomb. Dream 45. February 17, 2019. Me and Jonathan and Rebecca, his ex-wife, were at what seemed to be an abandoned 5-room, well, something like that, apartment. It was mostly dark inside. This apartment was somewhat similar to the 5-room apartment I was at several years ago. The one with a cracked window in my bedroom. Why me? I wandered around for a bit, through the kitchen, into a dusty bathroom, then back out into a hallway. I eventually went into a bedroom and found a turtle in the middle of the room in a soggy puddle in the carpet, along with a bunch of smaller turtles wandering around. It's Kurt Cocaine's bedroom, or whatever that one rock star had the turtles wandering around their house and shitting all over the place. So the bigger one must have been their mum. Later, I saw an even bigger turtle with a really colorful shell rushing past me and towards another equally sized turtle. Abandoned apartments haunted by turtles. Turtles! Now isn't that something? It's a big one. Dream 26, March 2nd, 2019. Part 1. Something about a black and white Klonoa game, yet again. On the GBA. No, it wasn't Moonlight Museum. Something about Klonoa eating enemies or food. Not like Kirby, where you get the power-up, but to stay alive, kind of like Adventure Island, aka Diabetes Man, Master Higgins, Part 2. Me, Mom, and Dean, for some reason, John, we're moving into this strange, multi-level apartment with ramps going down each level. The bottom level was a living room and kitchen. Every floor above it was a bedroom, I think. I stepped outside into a balcony briefly at one point. I must have been at least 30 feet off the ground or so. The area reminded me of Arcs from Divinity Original Sin 2. But in the future or something. It was also rainy. Also, I was for some reason paranoid about landmines. Maybe I was also reminded of one of those Commandos games. So the landlord was coming into our apartment to check upon us for some reason or another. And I went to the bottom level. Living room / kitchen. To hide. Some guns, apparently. There were 3. One was an extremely tiny handgun, which I unloaded to check the magazine. And the ammo hardly looked like bullets, but more like darts or something. Was that a taser gun? That doesn't make much sense. It's too damn small. There's no way I could leave remotely enough charge to be... Or maybe it was poison darts. The second gun was like a joke toy or something in the shape of a thumb. Yeah, me neither. The third gun was the most gun-like in that it was a Desert Eagle, which also had some sort of muzzle attachment that I detached for some reason. Hide both the Magnum and attachment in the entertainment center stand, the thing you put your TV on. Close it up with broken wooden door blocks, and hid the other 2 tiny handguns to the side / corner of the stand for some reason. The landlord came in, and it turns out it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, me neither. No. That was the end of that part. Part 3. I was at my grandparents' house back in Nevada. And, damn it, why do I always have to revisit these shit mundane places I've already been to? Especially real ones. Take me someplace new. Damn it! Damn it! Anyway, I was in the living room. Someone knocks on the backyard door. I open it up. It's some sort of thug wielding a firearm. It was an assault rifle, I think. I forget what happened exactly, but he probably proceeded to rob the place while I got there. The scene resets, I think. Oh, suddenly, I'm outside, riding on the bracket of a helicopter. I'm in some SWAT gear, I think. I have a Beretta handgun. The thug is suddenly outside. Cue that one Half-Life 1 music track. The diabolical adrenaline guitar. Oh, electric guitar running. That's all you need to know. Anyway, I started shooting this asshole as the helicopter swerves lower and towards the back here. I'm within safe landing distance, about 8 to 15 feet. Well, safe enough. I max pain that shit and shoot dive diagonally towards the ground while shooting several rounds. I hit him at least once or twice, injuring him pretty decently once I hit the ground hard landing. I'm okay, my skeleton. He takes refuge inside the house. We play some sort of bullet-based peekaboo. I approach the window of my room, where my Aunt Renee used to live in. But I swear it turned into a bathroom or something. Suddenly, bathroom. What the hell? Ah! I open the window slightly. I stick my gun in there and fire off some rounds and make hope that he might have approached it. Or maybe just to scare him a bit. You know, I think that was the end of the dream mode. Shut him and bleed it. Dream 47. March 3rd, 2019. I had a dream of Bioshock 4. Was in a barn. The health and Eve bars were rather long, and had some sort of subtle beehive texture effect on top of them. Was wielding a rather classy Remington-esque pump shotgun. Pumped it several shot times like I was charging it. Then I shot off several rounds at once. It's like that Turok Rage Wars shotgun. It's like the scattergun, but different. TF2, taking out a dude. A criminal, I think. I was a cop, I believe. Not a detective, but a regular cop. Well, that made no sense. Unless that was a plasmactonic effective order. Something that enables superhuman handling of a shotgun to make you think it's an ordinary gun. But it's not! You just handle the shit so fast and mistake it from... Make no sense. I'm looking at you, Valve. Now, what time would this game take place? Don't have any super obvious clues. I was in a barn. Pump action shotgun. I think the... cop garb I was wearing was like, I don't know, probably anywhere from the 20s to possibly the early 80s. So pretty old, probably maybe closer to the 30s or 50s. What would the environment gimmick be like? I don't know. It's New York or whatever. All the buildings are super crazy tall and everything is a base in the building. It's like a biodome or some shit, because Bioshock is really silly like that. No, not Biodome. We don't talk about that movie. Whatever. March 7th, 2019. Oh, this is a long one. Was in Ukraine or something. So maybe it was Stalker 2 and it crashed 50 times. And I was with 3 or 4 other dudes. We were mercenaries and had guns and whatnot. Just assume we were stalkers. Good luck, stalker. The most American stalker. He disappears. My planet needs me. We were investigating a hillside building with, I think, a crashed helicopter in it, with a dead body or 2 in it. I poked the backpack of one of the dead passengers, and a green hazmat suit that he was still wearing. I said something like, "Yoo-hoo," and the artifacts! Of course, he had nothing on him. Also, that's totally something a stalker would do / say. Yoo-hoo. Any artifacts. Anyway, there were 2 entrances to the front of this building. Both up 2 separate staircases, like 200 to 300 feet apart. We split up and 2 of us went up a staircase each. Both teams made it to the top of the staircases, and we were in front of a large, important-looking building. Large, like it was a courthouse or something. Anyway, near the entrance was some corpses being fed upon by bloodsuckers or something like that. So we both opened fire. The majority of the enemies charged towards my side. They managed to kill the stalker that was with me, but I killed the remainder of the mutants afterwards. And much like part Russian A-team dying in Call of Pripyat, I automatically go, "No!" That was my buddy. That was Russian Billy Mays. Was Venov. And reload my save. Russian Billy Mays here with Stalker Energy Drink. He's the best part of the, you know, Call of Pripyat A-team. So back at the helicopter, we proceeded to the staircases again. However, this time the other team goes into the staircase tunnel first. And the entrance collapses like that was supposed to happen in the first place. Like I glitched past a scripted sequence without even knowing it. So my team goes up the right staircase this time, and this time we do better, and all of us make it out unscathed. Later, we were chilling at some sort of city suburb, like lots of concrete slash brick slash whatever below our feet. It seems kind of chilly out, fall weather really. Anyway, just hanging around Blietland, I think I smoke a cigarette. Sunset stick, just for the hell of it. And it lasts around 5 seconds. Also, it's really short. Weird. I'm practically smoking the ash and black. I start running down the street through some really ghetto alleyways and bust through a police department and start parkouring through the place. The police either didn't give a shit or I moved so fast that time was frozen. More Kononoa. Part 2. There was a piece of printer paper on a table with a small screenshot at the top left of a new mobile slash phone Klonoa game. Ew! You guys have phones, don't you? With a message written in pencil by Eox, an artist that likes drawing a bunch of Klonoa stuff. I think he's Polish or something. It said something like new Klonoa game, and to the right of that, a date. Didn't get a closer look at it, the date. But it was something like early April 2019. The message written in pencil was basically something like this. New Klonoa game, April 6, 2019. Eox. So the new screenshot, the screenshot was about the size of a smartphone screen, and the game looked, well, nothing like a traditional game in the series. It looked something like Kid Icarus Uprising or something. Some shit though. It was 4 characters. Klonoa Guns and the other 2 were maybe Lolo and either. Popko Lirina. Damn you, Vaseline in my eyes! Their character designs were at least a bit off, but otherwise good and colorful. Good and colorful. Colorful, it predicted the new character assets from the remasters. They were in a diamond formation, or a D-pad shape formation. Flying in the sky towards the screen, they were posing for the game's box art. There were 4 diamond-shaped icons on the bottom right of the screen, each probably selecting a different character. Oh no, it's one of those games. Budget Nintendo DS action RPG. It's like the Lufia 2 remake. Or using their special ability of some sort. So basically it was a rail shooter. Touchscreen garbage fest. Could be worse, could be a gacha game. It was like Team Sonic made it. Not on a good day. It was like some Sonic Boom 3DS shit or something. Yeah, something like this would totally happen because they don't know what to do with this fucking IP anymore. Yeah, rip. It's almost like the same fate Breath of Fire suffered. It ended with a terrible mobile phone game! Poor cat can't catch a fecking break. So that's a second new portable game for the series I had. Totally coincidence, I don't remember, just uncreated. Oh! Ship Schnupp! Oh! Dream 49, March 8th, 2019. Part 1 was hanging out with 2 kids. One of them was Seth, a childhood friend, slash one of Dad's neighbors, and I'm assuming the other one was Zach. Didn't get a good look at him. We were riding around a car-shaped tricycles, or whatever you call them, on the streets. Probably skipping school or something. Even though I never went to school with these guys. I looked at the time on my watch. Somewhere between 3 and 5 p.m. And I was like, oh shit, that's way past school. Mom's supposed to pick me up after 3, obviously. Oh no, elementary school. I said, could you guys take me to the fast food restaurant? I don't know the way. Seth said something like, alright, but can you treat me to something at the restaurant? I replied with, sure, whatever. Just take me there. So we rode there and Mom was sleeping on a bench. Boy, it's sweating great. Also, the entrance of the restaurant was like a movie theater or some shit. Big ass overhang or whatever. Part 2. I was in a small toy shop with some other people. There's a bunch of precinct keys from Resident Evil 2 lying around. Scoozy. I picked them all up and for some reason assumed this was Chief Brian's Iron's office. Irons, so I went towards the black wall of the store. Back wall. Opened up a secret passage leading to a sewer. Not a big surprise. I barely shimmied my way past narrow concrete paths, with pipes in the way. 2 of the pipes dripping to my left being Careful, closing my left eye and trying not to get dripping AIDS water in my eye, or my left ear for that matter. I make it past just fine. I make it to a dead-end room with a bunch of candy near a low sofa in a corner. Suddenly, candy. I take most of the candy and put it in my left pocket. However, there's also champagne glasses filled with pink marshmallows at the bottom. And the marshmallow spelled differently this time, shaped chocolate, something on top of that. I think it was Jello or something. I tasted it. Don't worry, it wasn't crap or anything. It was clearly watered down sugar-free Jello or some other. That's weird. You can pretty much never taste anything in a dream. Or at least it's never occurred to me. Anyway, I just leave the champagne glass. Although I kind of wanted to take it with me for the hell of it. But not with the marshmallows inside. I just wanted the glass, or plastic, or rather. So that's the end, I believe. I went back to the toy store and then probably I threw candy at zombies past the boarded windows. Like they were really annoying trick-or-treaters. I mean, not like I saw any zombies, but we were all huddled up in a place in the Resident Evil 2 precinct. He's like, so I can only assume. Ah, back rubs. Free zombie back rubs. Dream 50. March 11, 2019. Oh. Part 1, 404. Part 404. Don't bother looking for it. It's like extra weird and too kinky, so I just went, no. Part 2, zombie apocalypse again. I was super embarrassing. I was in a high school or a college. We were concerned about food supplies. Yet another cheeseburger apocalypse dream. One of these days, the cheeseburger apocalypse is gonna be happen for real. So I suggested that we all get the vending machines in the exterior of the school and bring them inside. But first we tried to board up a door, leaning outside in this hallway, by wedging a sledgehammer in between the door frame and the wall. Like something out of a cartoon with how little that makes sense. But it started to work, and then surprised the door frame fell apart. Let's go check it out. The door frame fell apart. The door fell flat on its face. So we venture outside into the back of the building that wasn't cemented and had a bed of grass and dirt throughout the floor. There was rows of vending machines! It was like something out of a circus. Surplus vending machines. I love vending machines. With snacks and whatnot inside. So everyone starts hauling this shit inside. Later, I'm in what appears to be an electronic section of a store. Or at least that's how stuff was arranged, but it was clearly a class cafeteria. There were old video game magazines and even bootleg controllers hanged up on these store shelves. I looked in one of the magazines. Saw some old GameCube games at full price, like we were back in 2001. Also played with this incredibly bizarre N64 controller that had rotatable parts. So you could play with a driving scheme with a motorcycle handle. Also the button layouts were obviously utterly and completely fucked and nothing made sense. It didn't look comfortable, one iota. But later, the completionist, Pro Gerard the Finishist, came into the kitchen slash cafeteria slash whatever to probably grab a snack or maybe read a magazine. I was like, yo dude, is that Gerard? And part 3 was at a school in a classroom, sitting at a desk, literally inches away from the teacher at her desk. Don't know why, but knowing my educated ass, I was probably at the dunce desk or some shit. Does not come with a free stupid hat. I threw a pencil towards the corner of the room for some reason and tried to grab it with my telekinesis sparingly, but no avail. I scurried over to pick the pencil back up and went back to my desk quickly. The teacher asked me to hand out graded test papers to all students. Slowest day at school, huh? They were stacked in order of grade, so the highest score ones were on top, the lowest were on the bottom. The one at the top had some sort of Viking name written on it, something like Jofdor. Jofdor, here is your graded paper, you did good. Or some other. Again, can't always see clearly in a dream. I checked some papers towards the bottom of the stack. And they did indeed have lower scores going towards the bottom. I hear impatient tapping around the room as I stand up and attempt to utter the first student's name, and it figures I can't speak probably because the weirdest name in the classroom. You're Jofdor. The A grade belong to the Nord. I'm going to go take a piss. Right quick. Be right back. Shitty internet. Shitty. Yeah. Big piss. Windows notifications is like, hello, you have disconnected for the 50 billionth time. And it's like, yes, I know my internet's a wee bit unstable. And also YouTube randomly, like, affects itself. And the router's like, nope. Dream 51, March 16th, 2019. I was in some sort of Resident Evil scenario. But it was real. Or at the very least a VR game. And the first part was RE0-esque. It wasn't the training facility from Zero, but it was somewhat similar. We wandered around, surprisingly never encountering a zombie. Or any other enemy. Throughout the scenario, I remember spotting a crank under a crawl space. But it was too narrow to crawl under, and the crank was just far enough so that I couldn't reach it. I also picked up a bunch of broken key halves. The top halves. Specifically the handles. One was a diamond key handle, which was shattered in dozens of fragments. Also, it was flattened plastic. Fake key. Another key handle was yellow, in a simple vertical, or was it horizontal shape. It was basically a Tetris block without the segments. Oh! I wandered around some more throughout the various rooms, and, well, the rest is Vaseline. The second part, I was in a different area, or scenario altogether. Was this Resident Evil Outbreak 3? Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen. Yo, Capcom, where's, Outbreak 1 and 2 remaster? It's like, big no-brainer. Why you not do this? And this time, my brother Brian was with me. I had a pistol and magnum. He had a pistol and shotgun. We were in a somewhat long house hallway. Although at the end, it was kind of like an unnatural-looking piece of environment that didn't look like it belonged. It was more or less the waterfall door away from the sewer in RE2, and you bet that shit probably led to a tram. We laid our weapons and ammo on a ledge to the left, facing the tram door, checking our inventory. Funnily enough, I kept most of my stuff in a brown paper bag. It was mainly a box of handgun ammo, magnum ammo, and maybe some other stuff. I don't remember. We entered a room to the left, which was down another hallway. It was just a bedroom with 2 windows, a bed, and a dresser with a key on it. It was the club key, if I'm not mistaken. Club soda. A club sandwich, Alex! I was like, oh yeah. Go pick up that key, Brian. Nothing bad will happen, probably. Heh. I waited out in the hallway, peeping out of the room while holding onto the door and partially open. He picked it up, and 2 Cerberus jumped through the windows. He ran out of there like greased lightning. Didn't take a hit. He opened the door briefly and then closed it quickly, teasing the zombie dogs, or just getting a quick look at them. Not sure. He laughed nervously. Anyway, even though we had the key, we exited the hallway. Away from the tram door, opening doors leading to various small rooms. Turning the lights off in said rooms. Huh? Also, the hallway was kind of reminiscent of the hallway from Grandpa's house in Nevada. And just much less wooden. So I guess we never used that key and proceeded forward. Good old dreams randomly not making sense. What are we doing? Turning off lights. Heeding that Resident Evil remake rumor that if you don't turn up that one light and that gem statue rotating towards your room, the lights would randomly go off in other parts of the mansion. I don't know, I think Jonathan made that one up. Japes! Dream 52, 2019, between March 10th and 14th or so. I couldn't be asked to write it down at the time. Had a dream about some sort of hypothetical RE2 remake DLC or some other. It was either Mercenaries or survival mode. It was raining out. It wasn't quite nighttime. It must have been around 4 or 5 p.m. So, dusk. It was also hazy and somewhat foggy out. It was kind of like light blue looking. The lighting in clouds or whatever. The level was about some streets and suburbs. I entered a house at one point as Leon. There was a new weapon hanging on a wooden shelf at the back end of the house. It was a crossbow. It seemed to be more or less be the crossbow from original RE2, except with a twist. It used chemical darts with glowing liquid. What kind of chemical? I don't know, acid. Maybe one or 2 other types. Let's just assume it was the crossbow version of the grenade launcher. Except in the grenade, it's 3 darts fired in a wide arc, much like crossbow in RE2. So I was exploring the house. Cutting the living room. Cutting through the living room, which was cramped and narrow with a bunch of furniture lying around. Like a couch And the piano. I believe some of the furniture was also draped in some dust covers, so naturally there was a zombie or two in the very cramped living room. There was also tall windows in the living room. That or the zombies could break and walk through. At another point in the dream, I was playing as Claire. Was in a tool/maintenance shed. Picking up one of them long-range circular saws used to cut down tree branches. And of course it had durability. Dead Rising! Right after picking it up, I hack up 2 or 3 zombies and whittle down the durability by about a third. Then a licker broke through the door behind me, and naturally I shoved the saw into his face without thinking, stun locking it over and over until it dies, as well as breaking the saw. Psh! Your saw's at low durability, Link! Also, there was a new item. 2 or 3 syringes with different colored liquid inside, which also glowed. One was green, one was red, and another was orange. I assume they would have applied different effects from herbs, like temporarily increase your movement speed, make your accuracy perfect, or have the abilities to push off enemy that grab you via QT or button spam, something like that. Push them off faster or take less damage. Dream 53. Plot 1. It was raining. I was trying to get on a train of some sort. Probably a freight train, or it could have been a passenger train. Either way, it was fairly rusty. Felt like the train was in my grandpa's house's backyard. The one in Nevada. For some reason, although I could be wrong, I put something on the train that was in a plastic grocery bag. Not sure what it was. It was like a plastic bowl or something. Just threw that shit on that rusty-ass train Florida. That's all I can remember. Ain't the part the one, part 2. Another non-existent Kuranoa game. Was on the world map. The world map was like a crossword puzzle. Except it was a bunch of random letters arranged in a gibberish fashion that didn't spell anything, I think. And it seemed that if every single letter was a vision, aka a level. If that's the case, then damn, that's a lot of levels. Klonoa was standing at the left end of the horizontal row of letters. Oh no, Klonoa, Scrabble edition. There's also a vertical row of letters seen in the distance, and, well, that's about it. Nothing else happened. Those damn super short dreams. No, super long dream. Dream 54, April 4th, 2019. I was on a pirate ship. Them spec pirates. That was Doc, and Danny DeVito was drunk as shit. He was stumbling all over the place, leaning on the railing, breaking some of it, as the ship was apparently in really poor condition. I carried him off the ship before he could hurt himself in the trash heap. Part 2 was racing off to somewhere with, I think, a kid and someone else. They couldn't keep up with me, so I grabbed both of them and proceeded to run like crazy. Then I stubbed my left hand on the corner of a wall or something, which stopped me dead in my tracks. I took a moment to suck the pain away from my left hand, as that really hurt. After a while, I guess I resumed running with friends in hand or arm. Part 3. This could be a good idea for a movie or a game. Maybe, anyway, dreamt I was an android. That or some sort of holographic AI or some sort. Don't know, that part came from what I said in part of the dream. Let's assume android, and also everyone was also androids. Don't think that there was any real humans left on Earth. Existential crisis. I was at my home base of operations. It was kind of like a medical facility with several floors, tons of medical equipment, computers, and other stuff around. I got called to report into another base of operations, an intel/briefing room of sorts. So I went there. It was miles away from my base. The second base was at the top of a hill, right next to an ocean. That topography makes sense. I entered the vertical sliding door. There was a bunch of white stairs inside. It led underground into a complex with a huge briefing room where tons of other androids were. Everyone was being briefed. I might have been late, not sure. Although it seems Command was waiting for absolutely everyone to arrive before briefing. Either way, I seem to have made it for the last part of it. At the least. Command operated from a station in space, I think. So long. Command was on screen, or at least I think they were. They started the brief, then things felt off and dark and wrong. The AI on the briefing screen started uttering something about commandments or something, like from the Bible or something. It was listing probably hundreds of them, even though there were supposed to be like 10. It stated Commandment 1, I can't remember what it was, but it was most likely very different from actual Commandment 1. I think it was something about purging all androids who refuse to believe in this new AI god. It was probably named Daedalus. Or something like that. Which was pretty much everyone, it seemed. Turns out Command was just a bunch of AI server/programs, or at least mostly just that, had been corrupted by a virus. That, or just snapped and went rogue. Since everyone refused to side with the totally corrupt and malicious Command AI, it seemed it was going to purge everyone on Earth, specifically with a devastating EMP blast that would utterly destroy any android caught in its wrath. Turns out all bases were equipped with massive EMP generators, probably as a self-destruct or something. The EMP generators were charging up. Everyone was strucken on via too paralyzed and fear to move. I, on the other hand, sprinted as inhumanely fast as I possibly could. I even froze time towards the top of the staircase just to buy me another second or two. And by froze time, I probably just overclocked myself in order to think and move much faster for a split moment. The EMP generators discharged, sending out a wave of EMP killing everyone caught in the blast. I barely managed to get to the top of the stairs and exit the door, while taking cover around the corner on the hill where the door was. Gasping for air. Wait a minute, I was an android. How do I gasp for air? Oh, well, I'm a synth. Barely catching my breath. I was in complete disbelief. What the hell just happened? I was thinking. I bravely opened the door and descended the many stairs to confirm what just happened. And indeed, everyone on the floor was lying dead. And completely fried. There was no way in hell I could revive anyone, not even from a backup, since all the surrounding electronics were also fried by the EMP. Again, I got out of there as fast as I could, and hightailed it to my home base, flying. Oh yeah, just I could fly, I think. Some sort of anti-gravity device, rather than jet boots or something. During the trip back to my home base, I was thinking to myself, uh-oh, here's where it gets all Xenoblade X and ultra weird. I need to convert myself into an organic body, so in case of another EMP blast, my holo body, and mind won't be destroyed. But how would I do that? If you could brain map an organic brain into AI and instead of the holo body, or it's android body. Oh, it's Luigi, it's gonna get real weird. Then the reverse could be true. You could probably take an AI reverse brain map onto an organic synthetic brain and insert it into an organic/synthetic body, carrying over my memories and personality, etc. Be reborn as an organic. We were never really EMP hardened for some reason. And even if I could insulate myself from EMP, would it be enough? I made it back to my base. To my shocking surprise, the entire base was dark. Not a big surprise. Looks like my base had an EMP generator in it too, and killed everyone inside. I approach a small counter to find a female android nurse just standing there behind the counter, slumped over. I was absolutely terrified. I thought I was overridden/corrupted by a virus and thought she was going to lunge at me or something. But no, just died standing up, I guess. Creepy. Then out of nowhere, a red orb thing came flying out of nowhere, giving me a startle. Oh, you startled me. It appeared to be a hovering robot of some sort, not hostile at all, just scared and confused. It's like a red ball of plastic and metal that had eyes. And tiny hovering robot arms. His Rayman arms. Disembodied. It must have been hiding in a place where the EMP couldn't get it, like in a vault or something. It seemed friendly enough and seemed attached to me, like a Babby Metroid, so I decided to let it follow me. Couldn't hurt, right? I mean, seemingly everything else is dead. I'll take any company I can get. I exited the base to have some time to think to myself. I said, I've never been more alone than I have been now. I must be the loneliest thing on this entire planet. Thankfully, I have you, little red robot orb. I was hovering in place while the medical base stood towering in the distance. Fog everywhere. It was quite a sight. That was the end of the dream, I assume. I went back to the base to try and copy my mind and do something like organic body. I then realized everything was fried to hell and couldn't work with any of the equipment. I had to find some way to repair it. and find some other equipment in another base of facility that somehow survived the EMP blast. Maybe I eventually found enough working equipment after a long quest of looking for working parts. Then he probably successfully proves an organic body with some crazy high-tech god-tier equipment. And then somehow reverse brain map, copying my aim right to its genetic brain, and then pumping life into the body, waking me up. Should the android me off myself and let my reborn self go rent? Or should I accompany him as a backup? What am I saying? Of course I should go. It would be foolish not to. She can be a bullet sponge. Robot me. If this were to be a game or a movie, what would the title be? Myself and I, or something. And yes, some of that stream would definitely be reminiscent of Nier Automata. Not all of it, but some. It's not like there was some alien robots invading or anything, just corrupted rogue AI that screwed us all over! It's a very long, weird dream. 8 whole kilobytes. Dream 55. April 14th, 2019. Part Uno. Dreamt I was in a Resident Evil 2 remake or something like the lines of that. I was on a subway train, running like crazy from Mr. X. I was running through multiple train cars like it was water. Whoa. Every time I passed through a new car, an increasing amount of monsters would appear. I don't seem to remember much zombies, if any. But there was this very terrifying blob monster or something like that that would either come up through the ground or from above a ventilation shaft, I think. I suppose they were somewhat similar to the adult G's you encounter in the sewer. But not quite Mr. X. But not quite. Mr. X would simply not let up, and persistently chased me through the ever-increasingly dangerous train gods. Oh, mein Gott, it is a Resident Evil runner. Don't you guys have phones? This part of the dream ended abruptly. Part 2. Another zombie apocalypse dream. What a shock. I was in a store. I think it was a Walmart. With hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands of people. It was midday, about 3 or 4 p.m. It was misty, foggy, and somewhat rainy out. People were still coming in like crazy, pouring in faster than the rain was pouring in down at the moment. I was talking with a couple of people sitting on camping chairs about something. Not sure about what about. But I remember saying something like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Back for Blood was like more of a serious tone Dead Rising, but in first person or something like that. They all ignored me because they knew the game was going to be thoroughly mediocre. A bit later, people stopped coming in. It's at that point that we locked all the doors, but the strangest thing happened. There were a bunch of tall ape men knocking at the door. We were skeptical about letting any more people in. We communicated to them partially with sign language, ooga booga, because it was kind of hard to hear them through the store doors for some reason. Their leader then stretched the parts of his face right below his eyes, more clearly showing his eyes that they were healthy and thus not infected. So we let them in. Don't want a zombie orangutan, that's super dangerous. Much later at night, people set up some Christmas decorations and trees. So it's either within a month or two near Christmas. Have those in stock, or it's very close to Christmas. Either way, some people were chilling out on the floor near a tree. Kateris was there. Game review usually does PS1 stuff. I remember saying something, but I can't remember what. I then walked through this kind of restaurant area, or it was just an area set up with tables and chest-high walls on the perimeter of the area. Some pillars, a ceiling, canopy, whatever else of the area. People were setting up dinner, and while they were doing so, I thought I would get some Christmas decorations of my own. I walked for a bit and stumbled onto an area with an assortment of decorations and whatnot. I looked at a bunch of them and decided to get this variety kit filled with several different trinkets that light up, including a tree, a lava lamp, and some other stuff. Someone stopped me for some reason. I think it was because there wasn't that many free decorations left and somebody already had their eye on it. Also, Peanut Butter Gamer was there. I don't normally bother with getting Christmas decorations / knickknacks myself, so I was like, whatever. I went back to the dining area. After I went back, I was talking with some people about rationing water. And a girl said something about how all of us were going to smell real bad. Like, if we go a long time without taking a shower. So that made me think, oh yeah, we Could probably prolong bathing a bit longer than usual. Use some cologne/perfume to mask up big smells. So I went looking around, asking, hey, where's the cologne? Cologne. Heh, colonel. Anyway, I assume I grabbed some cologne and then went back. Dinner was set up, and people are eating. I grabbed a megaphone and grabbed everyone's attention. Attention, everyone! Sorry to interrupt dinner, but this really needs to be said. Oh, we're not going to last, and we're going to run through this store's food faster than you can say we're a fucked. We really need to ration food. Anyone who isn't tasked with much anyone shouldn't have more than 1.5 meals a day. And anyone tasked with more work shouldn't have more than 2 to 3 meals a day. Something. Alright, that's it. You can go back to your dinner now. Much later, it was nearly pitch black as most of the lights were shut off. And everyone was sleeping. Then some real weird bullshit happened. Some zombies were up and about in the store. There was either a break-in or some people that came in were already infected. Parentheses, most likely. Most of us didn't have any weapons ready, for some dumb reason. So we started taking some zombies down Dead Rising style and grabbing whatever we could find nearby. Jamming into the zombies' faces as hard as we could. Like a roll of cheese. That's the end of the stream. I assume we took the rest of the zombies in the store out. I wonder if I can get to Dream 100 before New Year's. June 13, 2019. Game idea? Was sitting on a lawn chair in the middle of nowhere. Fell asleep for a couple of hours midday. When I woke up, I was surprised I didn't get much of a sunburn, if any. I cut some of my hair as it was getting fairly long. A car approached. 2 playful dogs zoomed past me, chasing past it after each other. One came out of the car. A truck or a van of some sort. She offered to give me a haircut. I guess she was a mobile barber. Strange, but I agreed. She took me inside her van, I think. Sat me on a stool and started to stylize my hair with skizzers. There was a sink in front of me with several faucets lined up horizontally. Every faucet handle was broken except for the one all the way to the right. It didn't even have a hole for one, as that one was motion activated. The seat was way too low, as it was awkward, so she raised the seat. I think we talked about some things, can't remember what, if anything. But apparently we fell in love, because it transitioned to a public bathroom of us getting ready for her wedding, I think. She was waiting inside a truck that was inside a bathroom. That was probably on the 2nd floor of a building, if not higher. Weird. Anyway, I was like, we'll go in a minute. I mean, let me take a piss first. Went into an odd single stall where there wasn't even a toilet. Just an industrial mop bucket type bucket built into the wall. Or something like that. Like I said, bathrooms in weird dreams. Dreams love their weird bathrooms. And in the middle of my piss, I hear her scream, "The hell?" I quickly finish urinating and open the door to my right in the far corner, and some sort of lifeless midget mannequin clad in red, which then suddenly sprung to life, brandishing a knife, and charged straight at me. It started swinging in the knife in a deranged stabbing motion. Then it got right next to me. I got so scared I panicked and phased through the wall right behind me, and no clip activate. Apparently I can phase through walls now. Guess they'll call me Phase Man. So I started running from building to building, worried that the thing is still after me. And now it's raining out. I was in a city. I was in this alley, and there was this locked door with a security light on. So I phased through the wall. I walked down this long hallway and went upstairs. It was nothing but empty, somewhat dark offices, or stores or something like that, separated by glass walls, with some signs and shelves lying around. I then start running, then take off in flight, flying through the many glass walls, breaking all on my path, muttering something to myself, something like, I don't care how many glass walls I break, I'm gonna do something about something. About 2 dozen more broken glass walls. Later, I come to a painful halt by nearly breaking my nose on a wooden shelf. Yelling in pain, ah! Getting furious, and then throwing the shelf out of my way. Then resuming back in the flight, coming to the end of the building. Breaking through an exterior glass wall, I was in the back alley about 3 floors or so off the ground. I descend, or fall, can't remember. The police are alerted because I set off some alarms. Stop! You're violating the law! Back in the very same alley with the locked door with the security light. There's a police officer patrolling through the alleyway. I try not to get spotted by partially phasing through the wall. What is this, link between worlds? Sidling against it. What is this, Wind Waker? Making myself much harder to spot within the shadows of the wall. He approaches slowly and sees me from a distance anyway, yelling at me, raising his gun. I, now with telekinesis apparently, unload his pistol from a distance, surprising him. Then I hastily burst into a sprint to make my getaway. This could make for an interesting game concept. It's science experiment going, giving some memory loss. Blah blah blah. What? Dream 57, July 21st. Part 1. More Duzix. Went to a party of some sort with my brother Jonathan. There's some Asian people there. Was playing Final Fantasy VII. The original, not the remake. Looked in the fridge. In the back of it, I found a bottle of water, or a clear-looking beverage, labeled Ana Navarre, the UNATCO agent from Deus Ex. Weird. Under the main level was 2 other main labels. Something like jc.com on the bottom right, and Jock or some other on the bottom left. I grabbed it, noticed it wasn't sealed, and opened it. People were like, what the hell is that? And I was like, I don't know. I don't drink things that aren't sealed. Let me take a whiff. And it smelled like some sort of sugary Gatorade type of drink. Also, my friend DeMarco from middle school was there. He also said, I don't drink things that ain't sealed neither. Something, something. Then I was at E3 or some shit, with a lot of the rows of seats being empty. Ha 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 ha. I was high up on the upper rows. I started to jump down several rows of seats at a time, directly onto the seats. Somewhat injuring myself each time. Exploding knees. I then started ricocheting around the seats and started flinging myself at like some sort of cartoon, Roger Rabbit, whoop, whoop. And people started pointing and laughing, because I was acting like a cartoon. Looks like I gave so much needed entertainment the other ways, mostly so disappointing. I don't know, some E3s were pretty entertaining and funny. Part 2. I was burning a lot of games to playing DVDs. Dude does. Then, for some reason, Square gave DRM free copies of Dragon Quest XI away for free. Odd. I played it for a bit, I think. Then it either turned into Persona 6, or I started playing Persona 6. The protagonist had white hair, but it wasn't you from Persona 4. Also, in battles, it wouldn't transition to a unique battlefield, but used the field itself instead, and you would take a formation on the field, etc. Your first persona was something like Catwoman. She was basically that horse-riding persona, minus the horse. She also had white hair, I think, and wielded dual swords or something like that. Also, something really interesting, your persona could equip a sub-persona. That's not weird. She had a cat assigned to her. Also, both the persona and I think the sub-persona could equip gear. Neat. The battle UI was really weird. All the commands were in the top left at first, and the commands were something like this. A long arrow, basically the attack command. Square, the stop button, and probably a pause button and a few other commands I can't remember. Then, in the first tutorial battle, I was attacking this enemy over and over again, which kind of looked like a bomb from Final Fantasy. Bomb! My first couple of attacks were useless. It kept regenerating. Then the game said to wait for the enemy to attack and defend, probably for a counterattack. So the game had some sort of counterattack system, with some trickier enemies to use against. Later the battle UI got way more complex. There were tons of small, colorful buttons. Most of it seemed like random garbage. Maybe it was an aesthetic. Most of the buttons did nothing. Maybe there's some hidden commands. It's like some Hideo Kojima shit. You were solo for the entirety of the first dungeon, which was a colorful corridor-filled castle, or a labyrinth with a very large room in the center. That floor was much more open than anything I found in Persona 5. I could sense it. I eventually was in a very large Yaeldi theatre, and for some reason, Kefka was there faffing about and taunting the audience. Did Square and Atlas do a crossover or something? I was wandering around and found some food around. Also a bunch of wrapped donuts in a bin, or trash can. I don't know why nobody was eating these. Maybe Kefka poisoned them or something. Poison sockets. Also, I was playing the game in the living room at my grandparents' house, with my grandparents present. They must have been very confused. Don't play a Kingdom Hearts game for them, they'll be even more confused. Dream 58. Part 1, August 22nd, 2009, Part 1. Dreamt I bought a Nintendo Switch and got a weird non-existent version of Breath of the Wild. Maybe I was back in 2017 as well. It was raining bright red and blue rain in the game. Sounds like an action replay code in like Wind Waker or something. Turn the sea, cum color. Oh, it's an ocean of cum! And a bunch of neon colors, see. A bunch of stuff was different. Can't remember what much else though. I was playing on a GBASP. Some sort of non-existent Zelda game. The graphics were something like Zelda 1, but a bit better. Also said to myself while pointing at the GBASP, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you could modify this thing to support SD or micro SD cards? And also some emulators somehow. And bam! Every just GBA and GBA game that exists. Don't know why I said that, but you tend to be high in dreams, so... Also why you modify the GBASP to support the sticker. That would be stupidly hard and also requires especially to... I was also back in the house, Nevada, with a huge living room and a nice backyard. Or a modified version of it, with the second floor, I think. Except I was in the equivalent of Brian's room in that house. Part 2. Was in a pawn shop or an antique store. Saw this thing setting on a metal folding chair on sale. It was an oddly specific device. It was solely for portably listening to the audio of the movie Ants. I don't know either. It was like a Walkman or some shit though. Except you can't put anything else. It's literally for listening to one audio file. Weird. So weird. Dream 59. Oh, the 2nd, 2019. Was riding a bike in an unfamiliar town. Maybe it was fragments from the slum town from Dying Light. Did some neat and also one or two nearly impossible tricks on the bike. Went off a ramp, even rebounded off a wall. Near the end, the front tire came off halfway and I had to put it back on. Dream 16, November 19, 2019. Part 1. Was driving around at night, ran into this tunnel. It was blocked off. Quarantined or something with concrete barriers. Kind of like an dialing light. And I was flying around. It was raining, I think. Flew past some power lines. Got shocked a bit, but I didn't die. Later, I think I was flying around in a tropical area. Killing giant bees and wasps by hurling lightning bolts at them. Part 2 was in an unfamiliar... Take a shot. House with a fireplace. There was a dog with two tails with a somewhat Sheltie-like fur pattern / color. But it was more black, amber, and white fur. The dog loved being pet. He couldn't stop panting when I pet him. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Oh god. Oh, this one's super long. Dream 61, February 4th, the year we do not speak of. Quite a gap. A lot of this felt like it was supposed to be an actual movie or something, especially towards the end. Started off in either a library or a college of some sorts. Was racing around, either riding a tidal wave or flying around with a large stream of water around me. Did I have some sort of water-based superpower? Or was I just regular flying around and telekinetically grabbing a large pocket of water and bringing it with me? Either way, I guess I was racing someone else. Might have been my brother Joel Nathan. Near the other end of the lap. Which ended in an office with a bunch of bookshelves. I did a sort of spin while also blasting the water around me backwards. Giving me a boost of speed, but also making a mess of the place, getting water everywhere as well as drenching the bookshelves and all the books! Suppose I won, but at what cost? Moldy books. The owner of the office, or just some employee of the library, college, or whatever, witnessed what I've done and yelled at me! I said something like, listen, buddy, how about you drape waterproof curtains over the bookshelves while we're racing? Super reasonable. That way your precious books don't get all soaked while something. Like I was supposed to be racing around like that and play like this. What a jackass I was. Flash forward a bit. I'm now in an underground lab. Resident Evil. With water surrounding me in moats. Ever play Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness? Well, this place kind of looked like that underground lab, whatever, with a flying Ichiosaurus. It might have been the same building, I suppose. Just in the basement. Anyway, both me and Mom and Either Dean sipped the door to Greg Dade. Can't remember. We're all sick. I was vomiting up some vaguely dark green shit. Also a dark green looking leaf thing came up with it. Something tells me with the water-related superpower, we were doing some sort of high-level science experiment. Now, if you've ever played the game Hydrophobia, you'll see some similarities. The protagonist in that game got into contact with some water, with some science particle stuff in it, and gained some sort of telekinetic control over water. But as a bad side effect, it was slowly killing her. Thus, she could find the serum to counteract the nether part of it. Anyway, both Mom and Dad were lying down near the water moats, head to head, barely staying alive. Struggling to even breathe. I told them to stay put, and I rushed to find help, swimming across a moat, climbing up to an upper level via a rung ladder. I rushed along the corridor to find some canisters, probably filled with the serum to counteract what was going on. So I found 2 canisters of serum and rushed back. There I found my brother Brian, now my parents. I said, "Oh, thank God, Brian. You gotta do this. I can't do this!" Since the application of the serum can only be delivered syringe injection. I don't know why I told him to do this. It's not as if he had much more medical knowledge than I do. It would have made more sense if it was... Jonathan, as he actually had profession in sterilizing utensils. Close enough. Anyway, he injected the serum to the 3 of us. We were all fine. At that point, I suppose I lost my water control superpower. Flash forward several years, I guess. I'm in an underground massive cubicle office complex. With tons of wires. And surge protectors running across the ground. I was fidgeting with the wires, making sure all the surge protectors were firmly connected. Then later we were having a race or something. It's like an RC car race in the office. And maybe with Pokemon or something throw it into the mix. I was participating in me. A few of my friends won. But after the results were further tallied, it seemed that several of the players did wrongful actions in the race. Something about not being pacifist, including a few players on the opposing team that also won. As a result of the wrongful actions, they were sent directly to hell while they still lived. LOL. You go to hell before you die. Later, someone got married to, like, the son of the devil or something. I said to them, "May God bless you, and also the devil bless your groom," is waving his hand across. No fashion. Pat you on the head. I think the groom slash son of the devil was like Ben Stiller or some shit. Then again, that might have been me vaguely filling in the blanks. As detailed as dreams can be. Elements can also be blurry shit. Okay, so Ben Stiller was the son of evil incarnate and had married someone. Fantastic, hilarious. Anyway, I walked into the room behind me, which is like a messy supply closet with papers and other shit strewn about the place. I found someone dead lying on the ground. Let's just say it was Owen Wilson or some shit. Yep. I went back to the previous room and said, hey, did you kill this guy with the death note? Ben was like, while sitting with his legs crossed in a comedic fashion. And the death note was a random scrapbook instead of a fancy, ooh, spooky magic book of death. With a bunch of random names written in it. Of course, he was like, oh yeah, sorry about that. Started erasing the name. And Owen came back to life and immediately rose to his feet, like being pulled by an invisible force. First of all, you can't revive someone by erasing the name in the death note, I think. Second of all, what? Flash forward to a scene of well, a fight was going on. It looked like Kratos, or is it older than me? fighting either another Kratos or like another older Greg or Dean. Then transition into a really symbolic narrow hallway spiral thing. I had a circular saw in my hand and proceeded to saw into my opponent's face for a bit. Then stopped. Everything was frozen in time, except for me, and the now spiraling hallway. The spiraling hallway was different and narrow to navigate. It was also strewn with the ribbons about the plate. I had to duck under them and navigate this weird place. I then find a tear in the spiral hallway, and break through it. I'm in this giant man-sized safe. Man-sized safe. With a small square hole exposed in the side, I look through it for a moment, and thankfully the safe is unlocked, and I open it, and exit. I walk into the adjacent room, apparently into my office, and some business guy that worked for me said something like, "Hey sir, it's time. Come over here and pick up some of your old business cards to present to the something." It was like a business anniversary thing. Like I've worked there for X amount of years. Anyway, I looked at the business card with varying age, and the newest one said something like Greg Stark or Greg Styles or something, and I'm like, wait, what? Styles, wasn't that the last name of the dude from the disaster report? You know. Hey! Hey! I know I was still me and not someone else, but I was clearly much older than me, like 40-something years old. Probably the late 40s, and then I looked to the older business cards, scrolling to one of the oldest ones that read Shunwood. Something incredibly emotional came over me. And I started to cry in a fit of sorrowful nostalgia. It appears I changed both my first and last name to bury some traumatic event in my past. Okay. And then the dream ended. I think I also heard some Undertale music towards the end. Snow area theme? Snowden. Or I just woke up and randomly had that track playing in my head. I did recently a divine chance Joey playing through the game after all. Though in a spiral of hatred and confusion, one may find the way past this and move on. Would probably be a quote that would show up in this movie. Okay. How long have I been going? I think that's probably a good stopping point. Almost 3 hours. Okay, I think that's good enough. Okay, I guess I'll do later parts of this. Alan Waker. Thank you for watching, and good afternoon.